getting to shit.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's okay. Like I said, I mean, mainly it's more about like concepts and talking over some critical mechanics. It's not really about demonstrating through action here. Though I am concerned when I start going through the VODs, how shoddy they're going to get. But regardless, we'll get started here. So I'm starting with Kel'Thas. I'm skipping all of the previous content. We had, what was the count for? Like 19 of 23 or even more or something. We had a lot of our raiders attend, which was awesome. So basically, we've got more than enough critical mass to have high confidence that people, you know, our raid generally gets the gist of those fights that were encountered on the weekend. So that's awesome. Thank you all for attending that. Of the people who did not attend, some of them also know all the fights. Like myself, I wasn't there. So I think we're in a pretty good spot. So basically, I'm starting this review by skipping the previous stuff, and I'm getting into Kel'Thas, just like picked up where we left off, just drive a few things home, and then we'll move on over to SSC. Because you guys only did Vosh and SSC, and there is some pretty important stuff to talk about in SSC, even with the trash, so that we can save ourselves some time. The whole thing is, after having like experienced it, I was already worried about the timing, but then I experienced it again, you know, and on PTR, and I was just reassured that yes, this is a lot of time, especially if you take time on pulls and time on the runbacks. It is sketchy at best to aim for a full clear opening night in 4 hours. Remember, we did adjust the timing windows as best we could. Raid launches on Thursday. The best we could do with that is do a Thursday and a Friday raid, increase the hours from 3 to 4 by starting an hour early. And we're having people sign up for both raids to indicate if you can, you know, make either one, so we can try to balance and get both teams equally strong, so that we can get in there and hopefully clear. So the big blockers are going to be Vosh and KT. We did get Vosh down. That's good, and that's also expected. Vosh is, I think, overall a simpler encounter than KT. KT is just mechanically complex, and it has the bullshit with High Astromancer Copernian, which we all got to experience on the weekend. So I'll expand more on that. And just to be clear, we are planning on doing SSC first, and then heading over to TK. The reason for that is just simply because if we did TK first and decided to swim in the fucking pipe to SSC on opening night, we would kill so much time just corpse running, like nonstop PvP, you know, who knows? It's a mess. So we're starting with SSC actually for just PvP reasons. So we'll aim to get there and be ready to zone in right on time. And so let's just talk about Kel'Thas here. So Kel'Thas, you guys got into phase 4, at least on one pull. That was really good. There were some kinks that we were working out here with the positioning. I've gone over this with like the other admins and also with some people who were in comms, but essentially what we want to do for the positioning we all know how to handle each ad individually. We all know their core mechanics. With High Astromancer Copernian being the most annoying one because of that fucking conflag. So the way that she works is when she activates, she's going to have threat on someone. There's nothing that we can do about that. She always has some threat on some fucking healer. It's like as if her threat table activates a few like moments before she does. And so she always starts off running towards a healer before like a warlock, you know, the intended tank eventually gets threat on her, and then she stops in her tracks and starts attacking the warlock. The problem with her movement is that she kind of like has like batched cycles where she does range checks. So it's like she does a range check, and if her target's not in range, she starts booking it towards that player, and she just doesn't stop when she gets in range. She keeps moving towards them until the next like batched range check. I'm kind of describing something I don't know to be certain, but something that I understand seems to be the case. It's like a roughly like 2-second tick or something where she's like checking. It's kind of like server tick, right? It's like that's when she's checking range. And she runs so fucking fast. And so that's why it gets really annoying. There's these 3 things going on. She has She doesn't stop moving when she picks a target. She has a target right off the bat that's not the Warlock. And the third element of this is that her pyro or her conflag is like, I don't even know, whatever her range is on Fireball. Let's say it's like 40. I forget what it is. Her fucking conflag is like 37, right? It's like a hair like closer, or than her maximum range. Yeah, I mean, 30, and then her actual Fireball is supposed to be what? Would it say 40? Would it say 36?
Yeah, there's a small window. You got it.
Yeah, it's smaller than that is what I'm saying. It's much smaller than that. I've seen Warlocks get conflagged who are literally teetering at the edge of their spells going red, and I've seen them catch a conflag with Destructive Reach. It's just like there's some shit about it. I would even dare to say it might be a bug where her conflag has a higher range than it should. But regardless, this whole fight, and the only thing that we need to refine on is really how to handle that chaos. And the way that we're going to handle this is we're going to kill her where she stands, pretty much. So like just generally there, maybe a little bit off center to the right, like on this moon marker. Maybe I can use something a little bit more pronounced. Maybe I'll use like I don't know, everything's washed out in my shitty VOD on this purple fucking screen. But we'll move her to where like circle is. And what we're going to do to play around this bullshit is we're going to have two intended tanks. So we're going to have like maybe it's like a Warlock plus like Rich or someone just like ready. We really just want Warlocks because they're just so much more survivable. They have more health generally. They have some tools depending on their spec. I don't know if they generally take nether protection or whatever it is, but regardless, Warlocks are the better tank for it. We don't need to have fire res, but we're just going to have two Warlocks basically fight for it right away. And everyone just needs to understand her mechanics so that we can all survive any Copernican chaos. I would say that after watching the VODs and everything, the most significant disruption for our group and others is really just Copernican getting loose and the raid not really being able to play around it. So Copernican's whole thing is obviously she's fireballing her main target. Obviously, it's what I just said where she's running up to them and then on the server tick is when she's checking again. Before you know it, she's in range of her target and she's conflagging them. But the other aspect of her is that if you get in her immediate range, so like less than 10 yards, she will do an arcane explosion that will knock away everyone, do significant damage, and debuff you with like 75% less move speed for like 10 seconds. And it's just like her getting into the middle of the raid is just pure disruption. There's the arcane explosion. There's if she can flag someone, it is a chain effect. Like that person and all nearby players get disoriented and dealt giga damage. So we're just going to have two Warlocks try to fight for it. And if any fuckery happens, we need the entire raid to just know Copernican. Like this fight is honestly just that. Because if you can get through phases 1 through 3, where 3 is all advisors spawn at the same time, then you're honestly in the home stretch, especially in post-nerf. There's a lot of complexity beyond that point, but you're really in the home stretch after that. So to me, it's like the high risk is wiping before then, and the only real factor in you wiping before that is this fucking bitch. Like, that's all. So we really just need to understand Copernican. Also, as a range player, if you're going to be one of the people tanking it, because of what I said about her range check, if we ever have to reposition her, it gets really, really weird really, really quick. Because, like, let's say that, she got fidgety and she ended up, like, smack dab in the center, and you're the Warlock tank. You're over here. You're trying to, like, you found your max range. She can flag someone else. She can flag someone else nearby. It's not you. Cool. We're stable. You're at max range. She's not able to conflag you. You're launching your fucking Searing Pains, whatever, and then you think, well, maybe it's a good idea to drag her. It is a good idea, but shenanigans are going to make it difficult. So, like, you start pulling her, she starts casting, her cast fizzles, and she starts booking it to you, and that 2-second range check, batch script, whatever server tick, starts counting, and before you know it, you're over here, and she started bolting towards you, and now she's right here. Like, she stopped way close to you, and she conflags you insta. That's the kind of shit that happens. That happens all the time. It will happen every time. So, like, if we have to move her, It is what it is, but we need everyone to understand what is going to happen when Capernian moves, when the warlock drags her, when she fidgets, or like when she conflags her primary target. When the primary target is conflagged, by the way, she disregards them and goes to the second threat. So that's where sometimes she ping pongs back and forth. Sometimes the second threat is a fucking, a hunter over here who's just being a space cadet, and he's at max range. He outranges her fucking fireball. She starts running towards him to get in range. The 2-second batch thing starts. Next thing you know, she's right back to the center again, and we have to start the whole process all over. It's really just all this bitch. It's all Capernian. We need everyone to understand what happens here and how to react to it so that we can just deal with it and kill this fucking boss. Like, that is honestly, I would say, like 70% of this fight is just being able to wrangle Capernian. All of my comms just now about like wrangling Capernian, understanding Capernian, maybe having to move with Capernian, having 2 tanks on Capernian, all of this is also really important instruction for the healers. I don't know, I forget like how we're going to break down specific assigned healing or whatever. We might not need it for phase 1. We shouldn't need it for phase 1. She's the only thing active. I think there's an assigned healer for phase 3. The healers who are healing these tanks need to understand all of that about Capernian so that you know what's going to happen next. You know, the warlock just got conflagged. They're taking a fire dot. You can see it on the raid frame because you installed the Foji pack or something. She's now fireballing someone else. You're healing them. She's running towards you, and you need to back away. Like in this example, let's say that the warlock had the ad right here, and the warlock was standing right here. And you're a healer. You're chilling. You're kind of like, I don't know, over here. You're out of range of her conflag. That's step 1. You need to move back and be out of range of her conflag. You're healing the warlock tank. That's fine. And then this warlock tank says, guys, I'm going to move it. And the warlock starts booking it over here. And she moves from the square position from there all the way over to here, and you can't just move forward, right? You can't just stand here and heal the warlock in the new position. You have to skirt all the way around, otherwise you're going to get conflagged. This is what I mean when I say, like, this fight is really just going to be all of us understanding Capernian and how to play around this annoying bitch while we do the rest of the fight, which is very fucking easy. So that's all I'm going to say about Capernian in phase 1. This is like the general core mechanics, and everyone needs to understand what it is about Capernian, like how she moves and she kind of batches her range checks. So she'll always scoot way closer than you want if she moves. It will always happen. And then she will conflag the primary target. Her conflag is a random player in range, I believe. I'm not sure if it's the player with the highest threat in range. Don't quote me on that. It might be, because I think she does honestly almost always pick that fucking warlock, I swear. We do try to bait conflags. So any scuffed nonsense aside, let's say things are normal. Okay, let's say like she activates. We got her pretty much right there. And the warlock is standing like max range over here-ish, roughly. So the warlock is tanking Capernian, and everything is stable, and everything is chill. During this part of the fight, this is phase 1, right? She's the only one active. We usually have our off tanks just step into no man's land. So like we'll have one tank there, like maybe like Tom's there, I'm here, and we're not stacked, but we're just standing in the middle distance, and we're putting ourselves on our threat table. I'm just like fairy firing. Tom can send a judge, and we're just baiting a conflag. And the reason we do that is just in case some other fidget nonsense happens, like she decides to move for whatever reason. Hopefully the conflag's on cooldown. That's all. Like we're putting it on cooldown to pad and add some extra reassurance, because conflag is really the only reason that things get destabilized. So that's Capernian. That's everything about Capernian. And we just really need people to understand that so we can play around it. You guys did phase 1 just fine. You guys had Capernian also like tanked back here. We encountered in one of the pulls, a threat reset problem that I'll go over in a second. But before I get too deep in the fight, I want to swap over here to the weapon positioning. So this is a blurry VOD. This is I paused the VOD. The fidelity is not great. You don't need to see names or nameplates, but in general, this is another detail that I really want to sort out is the weapons phase, which is at one point it was a really challenging part of this fight. Some would argue it was like one of the most challenging parts of the fight, and they would even send Bloodlust here so that they were cleaned up in time for the ads to spawn. Because obviously the ads, they are on a time spawn, right? So like once phase 2 starts, the ads will pop up in like a minute 40, minute 45, whatever it is. So you have to clean these up by the time those ads spawn. That's the goal. What I want to go over here is just general like tanking and pickups and understanding. So these are 1, 2, 7 ads, right? 4, 5, 6, 7. So off to the far right on the Flying V, out of my nameplate range, is the bow. And on the left of the Flying V, there's 2 ads here. There is the Cosmic Infuser, the healing mace, and then there is the Staff of Disintegration in the back left. And so with this, there's just some strategy that we need everyone to participate in. So the Prop Paladin, first off, I saw a lot of Prop Paladins on the PTR make this mistake. This is my Prop Paladin, this really blurry dot that you guys can't see. This is from the PTR. This guy stood dead center, and he was really bad. He was probably one of the worst Prop Paladins I've ever seen. And he didn't even drop a Consecrate like preemptively or anything. But if he did drop a Consecrate here, this is the worst place to drop it because the range of Consecrate will only hit 3 of these. So it's only going to hit Devastation, Warp Slicer, and Phase Shift Bulwark. What you want to do as a Prop Paladin, and I don't know if you guys can even see my little hand cursor. It's kind of small, but I am actually moving my cursor around. Can you guys see that?
I can, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what you want to do is just be slightly off to the right, stage right, that is. You want to pick up, you want to be able to hit the Warp Slicer, the Phase Shift Bulwark, and the Infinity Blades. Specifically, you want to be able to hit the Infinity Blades because they hit really fucking hard, and the Warp Slicer does as well. But you just need to make sure you get threat on those 3. We're going to have the Druid off tank, so me and Cooter, we're going to pick up Devastation. That's our job. We pick up Devastation, and we pull it off to the left side. So the Paladin picks up all of these ads, and the Cosmic Infuser and the Staff of Disintegration were not mentioned here. The Prop Paladin can't hit them with the Consecrate. So the Prop Paladin usually sends like a Judgment on the Cosmic Infuser to try to pull that in. And we're going to have our third tank, like our flex tank, so Boop or Lynx. I don't even know who the fuck the other tank is nowadays. We're going to have the third flex tank pick up the Staff of Disintegration and pull it into the AoE clump. You guys already know that you have a Hunter tank the bow. The bow has to be faced away. There's one more call out with the bow, and that is as melee, you don't want to get into melee range of the bow and hit it with anything, because when you do that, you trigger its blink ability. So it just like, it has this script where if anyone gets in melee range, it will just blink away, and it will blink somewhere random. And that can usually cause a lot of trouble. Like if the reason we face him away is because he does a Hunter's multi-shot, high physical damage, hits 3 targets. That can actually like crit the casters and one-tap them. It does a lot of damage. So you want it faced away. If it blinks, it just gets really, really messy. I mean, it can blink right on top of the range clump. Weird shit can happen. I'm pretty sure Hunter Pets also trigger its blink. So you just need to send your Hunter Pets onto some other ad. So this is the general setup, is like all ads on the Paladin tank except for the 2-handed axe, which gets picked up by the second tank, the Bear Druid, and pulled off to the left. The third tank just helps the Paladin get the Staff of Disintegration in. And then we have the Hunter tank the bow, and we're just AoEing. We generally cleave off of the Cosmic Infuser while keeping kicks up on it. I'm a fan of assigning kicks, 2 kicks for the Cosmic Infuser, just 2 reliable physical kicks, non-enhanced shamans, because of the high resist chance. The Cosmic Infuser has a heal, so that's what we're trying to kick. And then the other thing that not a single group did, none that I watched, including ours, is the Staff of Disintegration requires 2 back-to-back kicks. You have to have this assigned. They need to be mage kicks or like shaman kicks, some ranged kicks. It will do a Frostbolt volley, which is like a multi-shot Frostbolt. It's like 3-pronged Frostbolt. And then it will do the same thing with a Fireball. So you need to kick the Frostbolt, immediately kick the Fireball, and then you can finally move it. It's really annoying because it also casts like Frost Nova and stuff, and it will plant in place, and its spells come back up off cooldown. So it's really critical actually to get those 2 kicks done back to back right when these activate and right when they start casting, so we can get them in a close pile right out the gate. that needs to be assigned, and that assignment needs to be followed. Otherwise, it just gets out on the fringe, and we lose so much damage on it. I actually have a clip here, and we're going to find out for the first time how playing videos works on the stream and the quality. But this is a VOD from a GDKP I led during last TBC Classic. This is pre-nerf, but you can see all the weapons are still the same. Everything's the same. So this is stage 2. Weapons are about to come up. My prop paladin is here. He's going to run in and try to pick up as many as he can. I am going to pull the Devastation, the two-handed axe, off to the side, and you're going to see our third tank, which we actually had a third earnest tank here. We had a prop paladin, a bear druid, and a prot warrior in this raid. So the prot warrior actually picked up the staff after it got kicked and dragged it into the AoE clump. So that's what's going to happen here. So let's see if this is just a blurry clusterfuck that none of you can see anything, but I did click play. So we're moving Devastation off to the side, but not out of range. We want the Seed of Corruption to hit Devastation. We want the multi-shots to be able to hit Devastation. We just don't want any melee to be in range of this Whirlwind. So Staff of Disintegration has been brought in successfully. That happened right away. A lot of AoE damage going out from the Staff of Disintegration. That is the next target after the Cosmic Infuser. So it's Cosmic Infuser, cleaving off of that, and then it's cleaving off of the Staff of Disintegration. This prop paladin was trying to drag the stack of ads over to the bow to try to let Seed of Corruption also hit the bow. But remember, it's a tough situation because if any melee get in range of that bow, he just blinks away and it gets really disruptive. So that's generally what the weapon phase looks like right here. So I think this bow is also facing the range. It looks like we have a triangle marked tank in the ranged. Okay, that's the hunter. He's standing in the range clump. Okay, he's supposed to be facing it away. This is this raid's first kill, so not everyone was a super master of this. But if you look at I just looked at this, the raid is about to take a chunk of damage that is only from the longbow multi-shot. Pretty sure. Yeah, look at all these players. It's insane. Look at how much damage the raid just took from... This is obviously not a typical multi-shot, you know? All of these are ranged players. And they all took giga damage from the Netherstrand longbow. That's why we have to face it away. So that's the general weapons phase. And that's the setup. This recipe never changes. And it has no room for variance. This is by far the cleanest way to do this. And it's the way we should do it every time. So again, it's just assign kicks on Staff of Disintegration. You pull it in. You have assign kicks on Cosmic Infuser. You just send your prop paladin on everything, and you pull out the Devastation. I'm just going to replay the opening pull just so that you guys can see that the paladin dropped his Consecrate just slightly off center. So he dropped it right here, this little ball of holy light. That's where he's going to drop his Consecrate. I would have dropped it maybe even a little bit farther back and a little bit further to stage right, because I think he missed the Infinity Blades. See, those Infinity Blades went running to the ranged right away, and that was a little bit of a crisis. Cosmic Infuser does get away. The prop paladin is supposed to try to pick that up. We'll honestly just assign MDs here. There's no reason not to. We'll have an MD on the prop paladin, and that hunter will try to hit the Cosmic Infuser, and maybe even get a third, for 2 hits, and then maybe the third hit is just on the Infinity Blades. But stuff got away here, even with this whole scripted thing. You can also see here, this is the Staff of Disintegration taunted by the warrior being brought into the clump. There was a spell lock on it just then, so we got that into the clump. So I'm not going to say any more about this, but this is the general recipe for weapons phase. And it was something that everything was loosey-goosey in all the raids that I watched and participated in. I wanted to go over some Foji pack goodness. So Fora raided on a Moonkin. It was a cursed VOD. Fora cannot play Moonkin. It's not part of my Fora class fantasy. But he played Moonkin, and he also had the Foji PTR pack installed, which most things worked, some things didn't. But I wanted to kind of showcase this. I definitely am not one to get all-in-one raid add-ons, all-in-one UIs, all-in-one weak cores. I just don't like a single point of failure if something goes wrong. But if in the case of weak auras, I know that a lot of the all-in-one packs like Thames and stuff, sometimes they can be really heavy and they can cause lag. They take forever to download, even on the first install. It's just like, it's something I never really needed, so I never did. But the Foji pack has me convinced for TK. So this is for with the Foji pack loaded up, and in this segment you can see the Foji pack really doing work here. So it shows who's being fixated. It shows a timer. I don't know how clear this is, but the big icon on the raid frame, Fora keeps hitting his keybind to open his fucking inventory. Amazing. You can also see the small debuffs are the people who are getting AoE silenced in proximity to Thaladred. That's really good information to know, like if you're a healer or something. Just useful information. We now get Sanguinar up. I'm going to skip forward. Sanguinar does a fear. And then we get into Copernian. Copernian, it has a range check for Conflag as well. I think at one point this guy dies or some shit, and I think 4 ends up a little closer. You can see it. I guess it was a different pull. There you go. There's a Conflag that goes out, and it hits a number of players. So right
I think
here,
if you go to like the end of the VOD is when I'm like actually in range.
Yeah. I'm not going to show it. I did see it myself. Okay. But so in this case, there are a number of players. So the Conflag goes out, and it hits here, and we have a number of players taking damage from Conflag. And you can see the Foji pack immediately shows that on the raid frame. And that's just good comms. I mean, that's just really great to know, as a healer, just being heads up and healing these players. So the damage also isn't like game breaking. If you can see for Conflag, it is enough, it seems, to like almost kill a player if it's left untended. But it's the CC that's more troublesome. Master Engineer Telonicus, you can see he put out a remote toy on the player in the bottom right here. So it's just a whole lot of real, goodness going on here. When we get into the weapons phase here, it puts up a widget that shows the health of all of the weapons, which is pretty cool. And I think it also shows the whirlwind from the devastation. So right here, the Druid tank, Cooter picks out the devastation, pulls it out. That's a good spot. Could be probably a little bit closer, but see the timer on the devastation. This is the duration. That's just awesome. Like, it's really good information to know as the Druid tank that you can pull it back in. It doesn't show you the cooldown, which would be great. It would be great to see when it's available again, but regardless, it's still good information. This is just like in the first 2 phases of the fight. We have a lot of really, really good information. When we get to phase 3, which is here, I went to a different pull, and this is blurry for now. But when we get to phase 3, you can see staff coverage. So I know that in the pulls that we did with the guild, we didn't really get a lot of reps like using the weapons and getting familiar with their benefits, but most of them are passive. Like, most of them don't really require thought. You just have to make sure you have the right weapon on. Hunters have a whole pre-flight run book where they got to equip the bow and generate the arrows and all this other shit. But once it's on, it's on. You don't really do anything reactive. The staff, you do. So the staff has an on use. So you click it and you apply an aura, a buff to every player who's in range. It is annoyingly not the Atiesh aura. It is not something that dynamically adjusts to you. It is not something that gets applied to nearby players as you approach them. It's an on-use spell. It's like an AoE buff in a radius, and the spell lasts for 15 minutes and is consumed on use. It's a 1-stack spell. So when you have a staff, you have to macro use 16, which is the weapon slot for main hand. I think it's 16 or 17. You have to macro, or use Staff of Disintegration. You have to put a macro somewhere so that you are regularly reapplying the staff. You can see this is probably, I would venture to guess that some people in this raid have the buff actually applied. I saw a different pull where this was all empty as well, basically showing that no one has the staff buff. I feel like at least one of you must have clicked your staff. So this is probably just one aspect of the Foji pack that was dysfunctional at this moment because it's PTR. But this is a really, really good, useful widget to see who does not have the staff buff. We need to make sure everyone always has the staff buff. We have to constantly reapply it. And that's because when phase 4 and phase 5 come up, there's an AoE disorient that the boss uses every 10, 15 seconds. and it will do a lot of damage, and it will also just CC a player wander. Or it's basically conflag. Like they basically get conflagged without the AoE fire damage component of it. So it's nasty, and if anyone gets hit by that, they're basically just out of the game for those seconds. So we need to keep this staff buff on everyone. Also, more importantly, this staff buff is actually why in Phase 3, Copernian is legit easier than Phase 1. Because if the Warlock has the staff, which they should, and they have the buff on themselves, which they should, they are immune to the Conflagration's disorient effect. So they can get conflagged and they just eat it. It's not a crisis. It's only a problem if they are, killed, I guess, which can happen. But making that easier is the healers should have the Cosmic Infuser Mace equipped, which any heal that they put out buffs the target for 30 seconds, reducing fire and shadow damage taken by 50%. So, like, we have healers assigned in Phase 3. We have a healer assigned to, like, the Warlock tanks. I'm saying tanks plural. Like, we'll still have 2 Warlocks trying to pick up Copernian. And you should pre-paint those Warlocks with the Cosmic Infuser buff, for sure. Like, cast a fucking Lesser Healing Wave or whatever on them. And then the Warlocks, just make sure that they have a staff on themselves. And you should be able to pick up Copernian and stabilize. So this was a riff just on the Foji pack, though, where it's really, really valuable. I mean, I'm a converter. I'm definitely going to apply it. Just seeing the staff coverage alone is really, really, really good. So I believe there's nothing more I wanted to call out on this VOD, but this was the one actually where you can see the ads are running to Moonies. So just to be clear for anyone who doesn't realize what happens here, the ads right here that are running to Moonies died in the front left of the stage. And Moonies was out of range when they resurrected. They resurrect with all of the threat that they had from the moment they died. And then they cast like an invisible spell that wipes the threat table. It sets everyone's threat to 0 for them. But it has a max range. Of course it does. And so if you're too far away from them when they resurrect, you don't get that buff, like that spell cast on you, setting your threat to 0. So you retain the threat that you had in the previous phase. So that's what happened here. So we're going to kill Copernian up on the stage there, off to the right that I marked on in the game here. We're going to have her killed like right here. So there's going to be no risk. Everyone's going to be in range. The range is pretty long. It's just when you're that far away, you actually do hit the range limit. What I want to do is just show kind of like a play out of the rest of the fight so that you guys can kind of see what's coming, and I can just talk a little bit more about what we're going to experience when we get into the next phases. So here we have the ads stacked. We're tanking the ads exactly as I recommend we do, which is we're going to have Telonicus and Sanguinar killed over here, which is what you guys did as well. Copernian, you can see where she died on the other side of the stage. And so the ads are going to pop up. These 2 tanks pick these up. Telonicus throws those grenades. It's not a problem. You have the 50% fire damage taken reduction now. So it's non-issue. You can just bathe in it. Melee, you just have to be mindful of this. The way that we split the damage up, it's just worth mentioning. In Phase 3, when all the ads come up, the way you split this damage up is all of the ranged, except for whoever is actively tanking Copernian, is on Thaladred, including the hunters. All the ranged and the hunters are on Thaladred. We also have the rogue on Thaladred, because the rogue has the Infinity Blade, which, like I said, all of them have like some sort of passive buff. The Infinity Blade increases the magic damage taken by the target by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. So by keeping the rogue on it, you amplify everyone's damage. The hunters are on it. They're applying the bow debuff, which is the reciprocal physical side of that. It's a 5% physical damage taken debuff, stacking up to 5 times by shooting them with a Netherstrand longbow. So Thaladred's super juiced with all these debuffs. He just melts, right? Thaladred just absolutely melts. On Sanguinar and Telonicus, you have the melee cleaving off of Sanguinar. So prioing Sanguinar, because he's more disruptive, he's more annoying with the fears, and he also has a thrash, which can like surprisingly hit hard in a burst window. So you want to focus that Sanguinar, but you cleave. You're just like cleaving as you can. And we also have the Survival Hunter over here. So the Survival Hunter is applying the bow debuff for all of the melee, the physical debuff I just mentioned, but they're also survival, right? So they're also keeping up exposed weakness, and they have their improved Hunter's Mark. So it's just optimal. That's how you generally split up the damage, okay? So as we enter this phase, all the melee should be on Sanguinar, cleaving off of it, and all of the range should be on Thaladred, except for the Rogue, the Survival Hunter, and the Warlock who's tanking Capernian. You have unique assignments. So that's generally how we break this down. These ads have a fuck ton of health pre-nerf, so I have to hit fast forward like a billion times. The boss even activates while ads are still up. It's not a problem. You can clean it up. This is what I want to get into. So we are now in phase 4. Okay, phase 4 is Kael'thas and his Phoenixes and his Shock Barrier and Flame Strikes. Okay, so he's going to randomly AoE Mind Control. He can pick, like, I think 3 targets. He is going to put flame patches on the ground you just have to move out of. And he is going to summon a Phoenix that deals 5% of its health and damage every second, and just pulses. I think it's 5%, or is it 1%? Yeah, it's 5%. And it just runs around slowly and pulses this Hellfire, dealing 5% of its health and damage to itself. And when it dies, it will spawn a Phoenix egg that you have to kill, otherwise it will repop. He will periodically keep summoning Phoenixes. They're on a timer. So if you don't stay ahead of these and kill the eggs when the eggs form, you will be overwhelmed with Phoenixes. In general, you have your prop paladin just kite the Phoenixes around. You have, we'll have the druid on the boss. And so this is generally how these mechanics are all happening together and causing disruption. We have mind controls going out. They got dispelled instantly by the rogues or the hunters. We have the Phoenix is about to die. We're about to call all of the DPS to swap over to the egg. All DPS swaps over to the egg. In this raid, by the way, we have a prot warrior, so he's tanking Kael'thas. So we're all swapping over to the egg. And that right there, I want to focus on. There was an Arcane Disruption that went out. So right about here, there's an Arcane Disruption. There. So the whole raid took a chunk of damage, and it was like this Arcane Explosion kind of effect. It hits the whole room. Anybody who does not have the staff buff gets disoriented as well. So this is why you need to have the staff coverage, and you have to reapply the staff buff. So you just have to have it kind of like macroed into your abilities so that you're constantly reapplying it. So here we are. We're hitting the Phoenix egg. We're looking at the Phoenix rebirth timer. It's getting close. I tried to go over there to see if I could get him out of the disorient, and it just wasn't working. I think his disorient just fades. There's mind controls. Get people out. And we have the Shock Blast. The Shock Blast, or the Shock Barrier, goes up right away. This is obviously Kael'thas's iconic ability. I imagine all of you know what this is. But he puts up a 50,000 damage Absorb Barrier and then starts casting a 50,000 damage Pyroblast. And he casts 3 of them in succession. If you cannot interrupt it until the Shock Barrier has been eaten through. So all DPS has to swap to Shock Barrier, and you need to get the kickoff in about, 4.5, 5 seconds, I guess, is the cast time on Pyroblast.
4. Yeah, it was really long.
Yeah, so you have plenty of time to burn through it. This is why traditional groups, especially on pre-nerf, you would have a shield-wearing tank Kael'thas, because you needed it. The shield has the on-use 100k damage absorb, so that's kind of what you'd have to do. On post-nerf, we don't have to do that. We'll be able to handle the Shock Barrier damage threshold the entire time. Also note, you just have to kick... Actually, yeah, you have to make sure you kick the subsequent Pyroblast too. He will cast 3 in a row, so you just need to make sure you do that. But I wanted to kind of show this. I wanted to click play and just let you guys see how this unfolds, because it is absolutely a chaotic marathon. Okay, so look at everything going on in this raid. We have 3 players mind controlled. We have a Phoenix in the back. There's a flame patch that just went on. The tank has to move. The boss has a kickable fireball that should be kicked when possible. That's the weak aura that I'm running, by the way. Some of you may remember this from Kel'Thuzad, where we had interrupt groups, A, B, and C, and we would say who would set their kick weak aura accordingly pre-raid. We don't have to do that. You can easily just eat the fireballs in post-nerf, I think, especially with the Cosmic Infuser buff. But you should just throw out kicks. Whenever you can, a fireball should be kicked. But I do just want to show you guys all of the chaos that happens, and it's really just about not tunneling. You just need to be flexible. You need to be able to immediately adapt to whatever circumstance is coming. So there's the Arcane Disruption. The whole raid is taking damage. We got to heal up the raid. We have Mind Control. The Mind Control hit our Prot Paladin, who is tanking the Phoenix. So now this Phoenix is going to go towards the raid. Everyone needs to be aware of that and move away, because when the Phoenix dies, you get flung. So I was just on the razor's edge of that range, and I got knocked. So this is what that looks like. Okay, I got punted all the way the fuck over here. There was a player that got mind controlled in that moment as well. Actually, that was the Prot Paladin still, because no one could land a fucking hit on him because he's the goddamn Prot Paladin. So no one could disarm him or disable him with the dagger. So now the egg popped. We're on the egg. So we're just tunneling this down. The next Phoenix already spawned. We have the Prot Paladin over there picking it up. Arcane Disruption goes off. We have a new round of mind controls. Understand the chaos. Okay, like I just want all of you to be ready for this. This is not in the least bit about your fucking damage. Like, this is just about you playing the mechanics cautiously. Like, you just need to make sure you keep the staff buff up. You need to make sure you keep your health bars up. Use a fucking Healthstone. Stop and bandage. And stay on top of mind controls. Don't be nearby when a Phoenix dies. And make sure that you swap whenever the raid leader calls for it. If we swap to an egg, we're swapping to an egg. When we have shock barrier, we're all in on the shock barrier. I wanted to hit play here and just like show you guys the absolute chaos that is the next part of the fight. And again, this is pre-nerf, okay? So like everything is overtuned here, and what we're going to see is a muted version of this. But the general sequence of attacks and abilities is the same. So we got a lot of shit going on here. I'm mind controlled. I think some people in Melee might have been disoriented because I was the staff buff. No, it doesn't look like it. So this Phoenix is about to die. We're about to call for a swap to the egg. I almost got punted again. Now there's the egg. We're on the egg. Egg is the prio, but obviously people still have to make sure that they handle the mind controls. So like that shaman was in the melee or the range clump. So those hunters are immediately wing clipping them, just trying to get the dispel out. Next Phoenix spawns. Also in this raid, generally, like a strat is just fine having either a Prot Paladin tank the Phoenixes or an Ellie Shaman kiting. You just obviously want the Prot Paladin to do it, because Prot Paladins, what the fuck else are they going to do, right? Like, what else are they possibly going to do in this fight, in this phase? So you have your Prot Paladin do it. But if needed, you can have an Ellie Shaman do it just fine. They keep good threat. It's exactly the same as a Strider. They keep good threat. They are slowable. So this guy, he saw that there was just chaos. Maybe our Prot Paladin was like just really behind. Another egg spawned. Our Prot Paladin wasn't nearby. So the Ellie Shaman saw all that, and he went and hit it with a Frost Shock and started kiting it. So he just like took it on himself to just, keep control of that situation. That's a heads up play. Like that's the kind of shit that's possible. Anyone can kite the Phoenix if you have to in a pinch. Just make sure you're not anywhere near it when it dies. So I'm hoping that by hitting play on this and letting you guys see all this, you understand, like, even though the annoying part of the fight really is Copernian, and that's like the variance, the rest of it is just a chaotic marathon. Like, people will just wipe easily if they just tunnel on the boss and not do the things. I think you guys were having a lot of deaths, for instance, like with mind controls. Like, there were just not a lot of people dispelling them, like with the daggers. Like, that's like P0, like you got to make sure you do that shit. So moving on, at 50%, we're going to get into the final phase. So he goes to the center and he puts a barrier on himself and starts the RP. This is a good chance to clean up the Phoenixes, but you don't have to sweat it. The Phoenixes pause all of their mechanics during this whole transitionary period. So he won't spawn new ones, and if they die and they spawn an egg, I think they just like stand still. They don't really do anything, but you can kind of like use this as an opportunity to clean up. So he's doing his RP. The next phase is coming out in 15 seconds. We have this downtime. Moving on. So here we are. He's big. He doesn't do Shock Blast anymore, and I don't think he does Mind Control, or at least he won't on post-nerf. So here's the key mechanic, okay? Here's the only new thing. It's called Gravity Lapse. He throws us all up into the air, and he has these like floating purple shadow orbs that go around, and they'll reduce your health. So these shadow orbs that you can faintly see here, so one to the right of him, one to the left. If you're near those, you will start taking a 10% maximum health reduction debuff that stacks. So if you just bathe in it, you're going to take all that damage. Well, you're just going to like die. Probably just some passive nonsense when you come out of it. During this fight, or during this part of the phase, it lasts what, like 30 seconds or some shit. You really just have to live. I mean, like, there's no expectation of doing anything other than living here. Healers are spread out. We're all swimming through the air. People are inevitably going way too far. And he's doing this chain lightning thing. I don't think it's like Cthulhu chain lightning, but it is a chain lightning. So you do want to be spread. And it does a decent amount of damage. I mean, we just lost 2 people in this phase, I think. So that's all you're really doing during this phase is just staying alive. On post-nerf, you will also find that you can hit him. The thing about hitting him when he's in that phase is that he casts a shock barrier on himself that you can eat through if you do enough damage, but then he just immediately reapplies it. So you can actually like burn through it and then do some actual damage to the boss. Like you can connect and chip away at him for like a few percentage and get some damage through, but then he'll just reapply shock barrier. And that's fine. It's not a problem. The barrier doesn't last that long. It'll fade. But just know that that's how that works. It's basically like the fight is designed so that you don't really focus on damage during that phase. But with modern players, you can. Okay, so like you can hit him. You just, again, need to watch out that you're not near these purple shadowy orbs. Right now, they're wandering outward. But look at where they all started. Let's see. They all started pretty close, I think. Yeah, they all started pretty closely together right here. Yeah, they all started right around the boss. So typically if melee are just zugging, they'll get stacked up and then their health will be set to 0 pretty quick if they're not aware of these fucking purple things. It's just like Alar. The shit is near impossible to see. It's pink on purple, on neon, on glowing faint red. It's just a really bad like aesthetic design. So it's just hard to see. But that's all there is to that phase. When it's about to end, when Gravity Lapse is about to end, you do have a timer. Gravity Lapse ending, 2 seconds. You have a timer. You just want to lower yourselves so that you don't take critical fall damage. You cannot go all the way to the floor already. Otherwise, he punts you all the way to the ceiling. But you just want to lower yourself. That way, any damage you take from falling is like, completely negated. So I just fell here. I took no damage. I'm in cat form. The whole raid did a good job with that. So apart from that, I mean, this is just a walk-in at this point. You've done the hard part. But the real thing that I wanted to show, I wanted to expand on Copernican so that we all understand that bitch. I wanted to just go over weapons in more detail. And then I really just wanted to show you all the playthrough of phase 4. The chaotic marathon of just like you're swapping from one thing to another thing to another thing, and you're always swapping to whatever the priority is. If it's an egg, if it's a shock barrier, if it's a mind control player near you. Okay, that's all I really wanted to drive home on Kael'thas. After that, I think we just head on over to SSC. And this is also just some assignments that I had for TK that will just illustrate, where we want everything to die. This is a small image on this canvas, but it just kind of shows exactly what we want. I don't think we have this image in our assignment sheet, but regardless, the positioning, oh yeah, it is. Actually, it's like the same one. So this is the positioning that we're going for here. It's on the sheet. So just make sure you guys know what we're doing on Kael'thas. I'm going to move on now to SSC. I do actually have, I don't think I have to run through SSC at all. I'm going to fly there, but I don't think I have to. For SSC, I really wanted to touch on Hydros. The other fights I will go over and we'll have a VOD and I'll just show you the playthrough. There's not a lot to talk about. Okay, Kael'thas was definitely like the feature that I was going to spend a long time harping on for good reason. Hydros is kind of like the second one, but everything else is going to be pretty quick. So Hydros is the main thing that I want to show with Hydros is the damage that tanks take and the ideal sort of cadence of things. So first off, I want to show just some classic errors with Hydros. With Hydros, you always start in the frost phase, And anytime you transition, his threat resets and he spawns 4 adds on the new element side. Okay, so like when he transitions here from frost to nature, he's going to spawn 4 nature adds. If he will transition when he's physically brought over this imaginary line, which by the way is not like a very fixed position. It's sort of like based on a server tick as well. Like I've seen him go all the way deep on the nature side and come back and not transition. It seems to be a much slower server tick. It's janky, okay? And when we're dragging him, we don't really know exactly when he's going to reset. So we just need to make sure that when we drag him, it's deliberate and intentional. So first I wanted to show a terrible set of pulls that I did here on the PTR with this fucking warlock who just kept ripping threats. So this is on the pull. I'm not tanking. We have this paladin literally named Euro Paladin or some shit. Europa tank. And this warlock, nice. Warlock just ripped threat right away. So notice, did you all see, like, it didn't transition right away, did it? But it didn't move after it, like, so it gets ripped over here. It's past the line, in theory. It hasn't moved, right? It hasn't moved at all. And it's still not moving. And now it's going to transition, right? Do we all see how that doesn't really make sense? Right? Like, that's what I want you all to understand about the Hydros transition. Okay, like it literally didn't move between like frost and nature. It didn't physically move. It just transitioned. So there's some sort of like weird server tick nonsense going on. But I did just want to show you that clip because that's like, you know, what chimping out looks like on Hydros, and you just wipe right away. You know, you transition early, you lose a lot of uptime. Does it have to be a wipe? Absolutely not. It really doesn't have to be a wipe at that moment. But usually the transition will happen when you're just not ready for it, right? So that is the first clip, just, you know, some fun times. The next clip is a threat rip happening, I think, also in phase 1. I think it's also the same warlock. So, or no, so this was a warrior ripped threat here. And the threat meter is not really doing justice. It's kind of all over the place. The warrior rips threat here and dies. He gets 1-tapped. Now it's on that hunter for some reason, even though I thought the paladin had a good threat lead. And then it goes to the warlock because the hunter feigns death. And then we transitioned over and we wiped. It's really just like, that's all it is, like to wipe on this boss. Just pulling it over when you don't want to. This third clip I want to show with Hydros is about damage. So this paladin is running the hybrid 174 FR NR set that we're going to run. And with buffs, that puts him at 244, and the reason for that threshold is because it means that every hit that hits you is at least going to be 25% mitigated, and potentially more. So this paladin has that set, and we transition to Mark 3 here, which is 100%. So actually, it might be Mark 4. I think it's 10, 20, 50, and 100. So I think this is Mark 4. But either way, right now, it just happens, okay? So we've received the new mark. You notice there's no stack, okay? Like if you mouse over this, it will say you're taking 100% more damage. There's no easy way to stack it or to see it here. Foji will probably track it better. This is some shitty weak aura someone linked and it just doesn't work. It just shows the cooldown of the mark. But anyway, we're at Mark 4, which is 100% multiplier. So look at the tank's health, okay? He's right down here. Europa tank. He's the target of Hydros. That's how you can see his health. It's also over here on the right group in this frame. Now watch this. He's topped. Okay, we're pretty stable. And he's dead. Okay? Like, that's the kind of damage that can happen. He was not crit. That's just a burst of damage. The specific sequence here, I look at it after the wipe. He did, but that was hardly anything. It was 1.7 damage, and then he was struck. He could have potentially dodged the next hit, but he was stunned from the water tomb. But the specific sequence here, and I think I pull it up here, was this. So he was at 100% health, and then he was meleeed by Hydros for 5k. He was water tombed for 1.7k, and then he was hit with a 9.5k melee, which is on par with the scale of the damage that you can take when you have the boss at 100% damage. So what we're going to be doing is transitioning him pretty much like right before he hits the 4th mark, right before he hits the 100%, is when we're going to aim to transition him over. So this fight is really just like a lot of us tried to keep him on the frost side as long as possible to pump. That is definitely a strat we're going to do before long. But since this is the first raid boss of the night, and it's so easy to wipe on this boss, but the mechanics are also so trivial, we just ask everyone to just honestly, just fucking auto-attack the boss for all I care. Like, let's just kill this stupid elemental and move on. Let's not get hung up wiping here. Like, I just don't want... Like, the only way to kill this boss is for all of you to just restrain yourselves.
Are we gonna have extra healers on this fight, or is it gonna be like you're gonna
you
have
really
like
shouldn't need it?
or
You shouldn't need it. You shouldn't need it. There's just like you basically when we were like on the PTR, we were holding him at 100%. You just shouldn't do that. That's just not the advisable strat. So here is the kill. Okay, so I'm just gonna play this through, and I'm gonna show you all how easy this is and how clean it is. I'll speed it up slightly. But here we are. This is Mark 3, so this is 50% more damage taken. The 100% mark is coming up. We have 8 seconds left. Again, I sped this up. And so it's about to hit, and we have the Paladin tank transition over. I did comment to some of you in admin and also some of you on Discord that I didn't recall actually killing it with a Paladin doing hybrid tanking. That was false, actually. I forgot I did it literally here. That was like, I think my first Hydros kill was this Paladin doing the hybrid tanking that we're going to be doing. And it was very smooth. So as we can see here, we transition. I say it's smooth, and we look at some fucking idiot ripping threat here. The Paladin is nowhere on the threat table. It's worth noting that this Paladin is actually dog shit. He's really bad. He was bad for a lot of reasons, but still, he did recover this. He got the boss. I don't expect threat to be ripped by like a Resto Shaman, which is what's happening here. I think this is like a fucking healing shaman, like ripping threat with 1.8k. It's not a good look for the Paladin. Like ideally the Paladin, we transition over, they have the Consecrate pre-dropped, and they send a Sapper. You're not going to transition, we shouldn't transition twice. You're going to have one, and then we're going to kill the boss. In this kill, we did transition twice. So anyway, threat gets pulled, that guy actually took a hit, and the Paladin got it under control. Note that we did opt to CC the ever-living fuck out of all of these ads. These ads hit as hard as Hydros himself. They hit insanely hard. It is actually retarded how hard they hit. So like at first I was like, nah, you don't need to fucking CC them. And then we were like, the Paladin would die in a global. So I'm helping. I'm trying to help as best I can. I'm like bashing this guy. We banished one, usually a rank 1. We had a Hodge on another one. We definitely just want to try to CC as much as possible and then kill them. So you'll see also in some of this, like when I'm tanking these ads, if I take some damage, my health drops. Like I take a lot of fucking damage from some of these ads when they actually connect. Like that was like a 4k hit just from a shitty little melee. I think I take more of a spike later, but this is all it is, guys. This is all it is. The special, Hydros' special ability is on each side, he does a different thing to the raid. On the Frost side, he does a Kel'Thuzad Frost Tomb that will chain to people. So you have your melee in 2 clumps, exactly like Kel'Thuzad. And then on the nature side, he does this Vile Sludge, which I believe is, it silences the player and all players around them and does some nature damage. It's exactly the same as the periodic, like, random sting that Huhuran does in AQ40. Like, that's why healers and casters would be spread and you'd be griefed by retards who are near you. It's the same deal. So, like, ideally, you just want to be spread. But that's all that's going on here. And, like, those mechanics aren't disruptive enough to cause any sort of wipe. So here we are. We're killing. The ads are coming out. I'm trying to help pick them up. Look at that. Look at the health that I just fucking took. I'm literally, like, just hit, like, twice by this mob. So I see it's coming out of the banish. I pick it up. And this is just like comms for healers, right? I have no resist, okay? I have no resist. And look at my fucking health. Like, here I am trying to help, and I'm like, oh god, I regret everything. Like, I almost fucking died in a global here. Like, they do so much fucking... Look, I literally almost fucking died. Like, 3 hits, 4 hits. I'm, like, flirting with disaster here just with one ad. I just had a single ad on me. So that's why we CC them. They do damage equal, like, of the... nature or frost type, depending on which side. So the Paladin should be able to tank, like 2 of them, probably, especially when there's no marks that have gone out yet, amplifying damage. Paladin can probably reasonably tank 2 of them, but we definitely want to CC 2. So here we are. I paused it here. We're doing the final transition, which again, we won't need. We'll be able to kill it there in the nature phase. But here we are just being safe. We are on the cusp of 100% mark. That's mark number 4. We are about to drag it over the line. We have 2.8 seconds left. The boss is 27% health. We're just dragging it over. And ideally here, I call this a perfect kill. It's as perfect as I could see on the PTR. But ideally here, what I would like to see is the healers and range DPS getting ahead of the positioning. So like ideally, I would want my healers and range. Like healers should be at the midline because there is a small taper here. There's a small little ramp. You don't want to be out of LOS. So healers should be like around the middle here. And then I'd love to see some range just be proactive and try to like move over here, which this hunter is doing. So now we're about to transition. We just hit the fourth mark of nature. So right here in this moment is crisis. This guy could get globaled. We're praying that he's going to fucking transition already. There we go. He finally transitioned. Not before hitting him one more time. So now we have the frost ads coming up. And this is a kill as long as we don't fuck up the frost ads phase or, you know, rip threat back. I literally pop out and cyclone this bitch. I just like cyclone one ad. We got to banish up on one. I think I'm going to bash this guy. We're all just trying. That guy gets banished. Yeah, perfect. Everything is perfectly controlled. I just decided to pull this guy into melee so we cleave it down. It gets hodged. I have my bash ready for one of those banishes that come out, and we're just on the boss. Like, this is just a walk-in. That's all Hydros has to be. You are your own worst enemy on Hydros as a raid group if you do some monkey shit, okay? And right now here, too, the melee is supposed to be spread. I was instructed to be on the left leg. I believe I was marked square. This guy was supposed to be on the right leg. Or no, it was the other way around. I was supposed to be on the right, but I saw he was on the right, so I go to the left. All the melee are just completely stacked like apes. So I think we're all going to eat a fucking... Yeah, there we go. All of them eat a fucking frost thing. I think it has a maximum number of targets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at most, it'll hit 5 targets. But it doesn't have to hit 5 people if you're spread well. So now that other ad is coming out, I'm just going to stun it, I think. Taunt it, bring it in. This one comes out, of stun that one. So we're just trying to make sure that the ads are under control. Like, that's the most important part of this whole thing, and it's easy. So that's all there is to talk about Hydros, and he was going to be the most involved in SSC. So I don't even think I'm going to run to SSC. It's too fucking annoying. I'm just going to flip through my VOD links here. So after Hydros comes Lurker, and there's just a few things that I wanted to show on Lurker. So the first thing I'm going to show is the spout. So Lurker comes up in the middle. He does have melee threat. He is Ragnaros. He is exactly like Ragnaros in that ranged threat doesn't matter. You can just nuke him as long as you don't step into melee range. So typically we have our range assigned on platforms. This is what our assignment sheet looks like for Lurker, and I think it's a good one. So we have just some ranged stacking on C, on B, and on A. We also have our healers assigned to each of these teams. So that's where we have like A team right here is the top left platform that has 2 warlocks and Rich. And the healer in this scenario, I guess we just have our 4 DPS up there. We don't even have healers. Oh, the healers are assigned here. Okay, so we're actually putting 4 ranged DPS on each platform. And they're just responsible for handling the 2 ads that come out. So I think I do show in this VOD a full kill of Lurker. But the only things that I really wanted to talk about are the spout, the whirl, and then the ad phase. And then that's all there is to talk about Lurker. So Lurker, one thing I want you to know is that the spout can go either clockwise or counterclockwise, just like Cthulhu, so be ready for it. And when it comes, you just have to get into the water and you're safe. You don't have to swim underneath the water. You just have to be fully in the water. So right here, my bare head is sticking up. I'm safe. The other thing about the spout that you need to know is that when it comes back around, it goes more than 360. It goes about 400, and it stops there. Also, melee, this is a pro tip for you guys, but after every spout, he does the whirl. The whirl is the next thing I'm going to talk about. He does it after every spout, but he also periodically does it. I believe there's a cooldown timer that DBM tries to help us out with, but it's not great. The way that you can outplay the whirl is he does the animation, and you have about half a second to get in the water to react in time. So this is a clip right here, right before he does a whirl. You'll see him. There's no cast bar, and there's no like DBM announcement. You just have to watch him spin around. So I'm a melee. I'm tanking him, so the tank should definitely do this, but melee on the backside should also do this. We see him spin in the water to get in the water. So I was actually just a little bit ahead. I don't know whether I had like psychedelics or something, but I kind of premeditated that one. I think I just knew he was going to do it. But in general, you can see him spin and the whirl hits about half a second later. So like if you're super fucking quick, you get in the water, you don't get flung back. It's like kind of similar speed to like trying to get that kick on the Karazhan ads in the hallway before Maiden when they get to 50%. You just got to be sharp. So yeah. So if you don't get it in time, it's no problem. You literally just get knocked back a little bit and you get knocked out of melee range. So you have to go back and hit the boss. Like you have to reconnect. That's all it is. You don't get punted for miles. It's not a critical mechanic. This is just like extra credit that I know the pumpers are going to want to try to do. You can also try to premeditate it, where if you know it's going to come, you can get in the water in advance. We get in the water just because you just physically don't get displaced as far when you're swimming. Like you just get knocked, onto the little ledge, which is, what happens here. Like I just step in. I know I block my screen here a little bit, but, I just get punted back a little bit, right? So that's all that is. Melee is the same on the other side. The reason we don't just bathe in the water, by the way, just to state the obvious for all of you, is this water is scalding. The water actually does a dot when you're in it, and the scalding fades after you kill Lurker. So that's why you can't just bathe in the water all the time. There's a lot of tanks who are in dad guilds who will just bathe in the water full time because it is healable for a tank. Like you can heal the tank. That's no problem. But it's not necessary, really. It is a risk if you don't get in for the whirl as a tank. He will absolutely turn and one-tap a melee if his melee attack timer is up. Like, if his swing timer's up and you're not in melee range, he does a lot of damage. He's a fight that I did respect. I tried to put on full goblin gear, and I got clapped, so I ended up putting on, like, my balance set. Yeah, you have to respect some of the damage that he does. So I wanted to just show the spout. I wanted to show the whirl. And then the last thing I think is just the submerge and the ads. So note here that DBM has a submerge timer coming up. Let me make sure I got the right here. So DBM on this clip shows the submerge timer coming up, right? Coinciding with the submerge timer is a spout on the first submerge, and there should only be one submerge. There is always a coinciding spout timer with the submerge, and he will select which one he wants to do. So this submerge timer expires. I think a submerge is coming, and then we see that he's spouting. So he decided to spout right before, and he's going to submerge right after this. So this spout is counterclockwise, actually. So you can see it does go the other way. There's a retarded druid in fucking like white men shit who gets punted over there. That's what happens when you get hit by the spout. It's not Cthulhu Beam. You don't die in one hit. You just take giga damage and you get punted really far. Again, that water is boiling. So now this druid is like, luckily he's a resto druid, right? He's healing himself up while swimming back in. He can handle it. But if anyone else gets punted, you're usually going to die. So the spout ends. He does the whirl, and then he does the submerge. So now the submerge is coming up, and let's just have another look at the assignment sheet. So on the submerge, there's going to be 2 ads on each platform, and there's going to be 3 elites that spawn in the middle. The elites arrive at orange positions 1, 2, and 3, the orange singular positions that they don't have a circle. This is where the elites come. So what we want to do is have 3 capable tanks, like 3 actual tanks. So it's going to be me, Tom, and Boop. We're going to each pick up an elite. These are the elites that spawn in the middle. They are the only part of this fight that is like risky. They do a lot of fucking damage, like a lot. So I'm picking this up. They cleave. So I'm picking this up. I'm in my balanced tanking gear. I was just tanking the boss, and this guy starts cranking me. I think he hits a few hits in a row. Or maybe that was a previous pull where I just like got fucking deleted. But what we want to do here is bring them together. So what I'm trying to do here, and I'm trying to like, I hope that the other guy's going to read my mind. Look at that. Look, I almost fucking died here. Like this guy, I turned my back to him for 1 second and he almost fucking globaled me. So he's, definitely hitting harder than the boss. So what we want to do here with this ad and this ad specifically, the ad up by my low health warning. These are the 3 ads, by the way. 1 over here by Square, 1 by me, and 1 by the Fire Ellie. what we want to do is bring this ad and the Fire Ellie ad in between, like meet in the middle. That way they're ideally in range of the range DPS on this platform and the range of DPS of this bottom platform, so that the range DPS can help out when their platforms are cleared. Each of the platforms has 2 ads to handle on their platform. You can CC one and kill the other. That is the most common tactic. The ads on post-nerf state are a joke. They just absolutely get destroyed on the platforms. The elites, as you can see, still crank. They're doing a lot of fucking damage. And I'm trying to, bring this to the other one. Melee, you have to be careful of cleaving. We do have 3 healers that are going to be on this inner ring. Probably like all 4 of our healers are going to be on this inner ring. You just need to make sure, healers, that you get the fuck out of the way. Like, don't make me walk around you as a tank. I get hamstrung. It's annoying to shapeshift. Just be where this guy is, on the edge, and you should be safe. The last thing that we did note about the ads on the platform. So here you can see the ads' health. They have 28k. So they die pretty quick. The last thing I will say about the ads on the platform is that they are, if you keep them in CC, or just keep them alive somehow, if you get another submerge, more ads do not come to replace the ads that are already alive. So for pre-nerf, when like the bosses had a lot more health and you might get 2 submerges, the meta strat became try to get like a polymorph or a hunter trap on each platform, or like maybe a warlock that can just tend to it, and keep one of the ads perma CC'd for the rest of the fight, alive and CC'd. That way, when you got the second submerge, you just had a single ad slithering in from the water on each platform. That's a fun fact. We will never have to fucking deal with that. Like, we're going to kill the boss after the first submerge on post-nerf. It's not going to be a problem. Also, these ads just absolutely melt. So that's all I'll say about that. Lurker is easy, pops back up. He always does a spout, by the way, on his re-emergence. So here's a spout. Again, here's the whirl. And boom. And now we're just back at it. His threat doesn't reset or anything. So that's all there is to say about Lurker. Now we get into just some highlights about SSC trash that I wanted to make sure I covered. I'm not going to do like every single pack in here, but I just want to explain some core mechanics of some trash. So the platforms all around here, the platforms leading up to Hydros, leading up to Lurker and stuff, I didn't even talk about. That's all of this trash. It's just brain dead. It doesn't fucking matter. I'll explain it on the fly when we get there. It's trivial. This shit, these packs, after you get through all those platforms, actually have mechanics that can like do a substantial amount of damage and potentially wipe a raid if you're not careful. So essentially, these packs just have I think it's like a Tidewalker guy who drops a Water Ellie totem. You just prioritize killing that. But the real lethal mobs here are these Nether Mages, which are these Forsaken mobs that have Mage Tier 2 on, the Netherwind. You want to try to poly both if possible, and then you AoE the rest, and then you kill the Nether Mages. If we only have one Mage, we only have one poly, and if anything breaks through, you just have to try to, spam poly them. Just try to keep them under control as best you can. We'll try to like hodge them or something, I guess. I forget if they're even immune to stun, but they just have the potential to do a lot of fucking damage. So what we're going to see here is we have one Mage in this raid. We have one poly marked. It's the Moon. It's a Nether Mage. It's back there behind this other one. And we pull this trash back. So the Mage gets the poly off on the Moon. And there's another Nether Mage coming through that I did not mark Skull, and I should have. This Nether Mage stays alive. The Nether Mages have one of 3 schools of magic. They're either Fire, Arcane, or Frost. If they are Fire, they drop a Rain of Fire on a location that does a lot of damage. And if they're Arcane, they do this Arcane Bolt Volley that does substantial damage to everyone within like 35 yards of the mob or something. So it basically is a raid-wide Giga AoE damage. The unmarked Nether Mage here is actually Arcane. So like, you don't know that. There's no way to know that. You just have to assume and treat them all as if they're Arcane. I think we could have told at this moment in time because he cast this buff on himself, and I forget what it is, but I think it's spell stealable. That's how you can know it's Arcane. But this guy is going to put out an Arcane Bolt Volley shortly. There it is. So this is on the PTR, okay? This is post-nerf. This is not me showing pre-nerf clips. This is post-nerf, and this is how much raid damage the Arcane Volley did post-nerf. These guys do not fuck around. Like, they do a lot of fucking raid damage, and it's an instant cast. It just spams it out. I think it has a short cooldown, but already that put us so far behind. The whole raid is at half health now. So the Serpentine Tidecaller spawns the water elemental totem that I just mentioned. DPS just have to swap and kill it. It dies really quick, and when you kill it, you despawn the elemental. So that's all. It's a prio thing. Just make sure you kill that. This mage is still living because, again, I didn't mark its skull. The other mobs that you see in here are Coilfang Serpent Guards. They have a sword and a shield, and they do not cleave, but they do put up a spell reflect ability that has a number of charges on it. So when that goes up, usually people can help try to eat away those charges. Like, they get eaten by rogue poisons and other random shit. People try to do small dinky little spells to eat up the charges and then do the damage. Right now you can see this Serpent Guard on the top of my screen just reapplied it. You can see it lasts for 7 seconds and has 4 charges, so you can see it reapply. You can also see the Tidecallers. They summon the totems, but they also do a chain lightning. So we see that here. This guy does the Arcane Volley. We swap to the totem, and this, where is he? Yeah, this Tidecaller here, the Greyheart Tidecaller. He put out a chain lightning that did some damage to some more people. I think it finished off some. So right now, raid health is slowly recovering, but boom, another fucking Arcane Volley. This shit is high damage, man. This Arcane Volley is ridiculous how much damage it's doing. Usually, if we have any sort of mage situation, like if we had 2 nether mages, I marked 1 skull and 1 X, but then we do the pull and they break from poly and they're in the mix, and we see that X is arcane, we will yell that out. And I want everyone to fucking swap. If we see X is arcane, we're going to be like, everyone on X, everyone on X. X is arcane, and everyone just needs to send everything into the fucking X. And I would send your trinkets into it too. It is just extremely high damage. It's the only thing that's leading to deaths here on this trash. It is so much fucking damage. Our tank, Ida, in Group 5, actually died as a result of that in combination with the damage from the Serpent Guard. So now, we're spiraling and people are dying. We do clean it up. We get this under control. People get topped off. The mage is finally dead. I have a bear druid always tank the skulkers. The skulkers are the rogue looking mobs because I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that they cheap shot. And I remember just wanting to keep them off of the prop paladins. So that's why I was tanking one of those. Now we get to this ad, and we're again cautious. We're we don't know what School of Magic it is. Oh, boom, it's fire. Okay, so here's the Rain of Fire. We're trying not to bathe in it. It's doing, what is this? Probably 3K a tick or something. It's not nothing. If the whole raid is bathing in it, you feel it. But now we clean it up. So this is the formula for all of these packs. There's many packs like this, and we just need to understand the mobs involved. We also see these mobs in the later packs, and just by explaining this once up front, I don't have to re-explain it again. So now we're going to get into the Underbog Colossuses. So these Underbog Colossuses are the Anubisath Colossuses of AQ40, okay? They wander around slowly, they're single pulls, and they have very similar schemes, okay? So they have 3 different ability pairings that they can have. So the first one, pull up my thing on the side so I can remember. So the first one that they can be is either is Frenzy and Atrophic Blow. So if they're Frenzy or Atrophic Blow, it's just a nothing burger. They Frenzy, it can be tranked. Atrophic Blow reduces the target's strength and stamina by 30, stacking up to 30 times or something. It dies well before that becomes a problem. So that's the easiest one. It's basically a no-up. The other ones are Geyser and Parasite or Quake and Rampant Infection. So Geyser and Parasite is Acid Geyser from Quagmyron. Okay, all of us have run Heroic Slave Pens. If Quagmyron does his Geyser, the tank taunts it to keep the Geyser just funneled on the tank. Then they send a Challenging Shout to keep it fixated for the full duration. If that doesn't happen, it faces, some random party member, right? And it sprays the whole raid and our whole party and does a fuck ton of damage. It's exactly the same Acid Geyser. This is literally the same fucking mob type. It is literally Quagmoron. It's a Colossus. And so Quake is a stand-in-place channeled ability that does insane damage to everyone within 30 yards. I think it ticks like every second, or maybe it's every 2 seconds. So you don't know which one it is until he does one of his first abilities that indicate which one it's going to be. And that is on Quake. There's a rampant infection he does. So sometimes he'll toss that out in advance and we know, it's Quake. By the way, the Foji pack shows this. Or if he tosses out a parasite, a Serpentrine parasite, we know, it's a geyser. But a lot of times he doesn't even do those abilities. He just goes right to what I would call the primary ability. And so you get no advance notice. So with all of these Colossuses, you always have to follow the same script. The whole raid, all the range clump steps about this far up. Okay, do you see where the totem camp is, where all the ranged are? They're like somewhere in the middle. With Acid Geyser, you need everyone to stack on the ass, and you need the target to get out to the side. So the range being here lets them get rapidly into the boss's melee range to compress if it's a geyser. If it's a Spore Quake, the range can also be in a really advantageous position to just blink away, run away real quick, outrange it, and healers can start cranking heals. On Spore Quake, all the melee, no matter what, we're just at a disadvantage. We have to run a mile. And that's where you use health stones. So for all these pulls, we always have the entire raid just stay what I would call in the middle distance. We're just waiting for it to reveal itself, and then we'll react accordingly. If it's a Quake, we just need everyone to be ready to move. Range can stay at maximum range if it's a Quake. If we know it's a Quake, you can just stay at max range full time. If it's a geyser, we need everyone to be in melee range so that we can easily have whoever is targeted move out to the side. Obviously, if there's a player back here, way, way back here, if he was targeted and this was an Acid Geyser, there's no way that player can move all the way around to point this boss away from the raid. They'll paint the entire fucking raid. I have a clip of that next. So this one is a Spore Quake. So we have the setup. We don't know it's a Spore Quake yet. All the range is in the middle distance. The melee is pumping this fucking boss, and we're waiting to see what happens, and it's about to be a Spore Quake. So here it is, Spore Quake. Everyone run. Everyone run. Look at the raid damage. We are fucking melting. We are absolutely fucking melting. And we need to use our health stones here. We need to just stay alive. You just send health stones, you live it. And then when they die, they do one of four things. Either they spawn AoE adds that your prop paladin picks up, or they spawn 2 medium-sized adds that don't have any mechanics, but they just hit hard, so you need your tanks to pick them up. Or they drop a poison puddle, which is a large area and does a fuck ton of damage to anyone who stays in it. Or they drop magical, wonderful mushrooms that restore health and mana. So it's one of the 4. So that was Spore Quake. This is what Acid Geyser looks like. So also note, you'll see my add-on, my nameplates are showing that this guy has a buff. This guy has a vulnerability. All Underbug. So in AQ40, the Anubistats had a particular school set of schools that they reflected, right? So you just couldn't hit with those schools. These guys have a different variation of that, where they have one school of magic that's giga amplified. I think it's 300% damage or some shit. So you guys just have to watch your threat. That's the big thing. These guys are not tauntable. So whatever school of magic it is, you just have to fucking chill. You cannot rip threat on these. I've seen enhanced shamans rip threat with nature vuln, just sending storm strike and shit. It's easy to do. So you guys just have to watch the vulns and be mindful of it. So here's a clip, like I said, of Acid Geyser. So here it is. We don't know what it is. Look at the ranged out here, okay? So the range were pretty far, and this Acid Geyser goes on this guy. It's not the triangle, actually. That's Time Cop. It's some guy, I think he's back here even. Point is, he fucked up. He's really, really, really far back there, and he's got Acid Geyser. And he continues to fuck up. That bitch ain't moving, dude. Time Cop tried to move. Time Cop, I think, donated the fucking triangle to him. Oh, no. There he is. Maybe that's him. If we see him, trying to skirt out of the fucking... He's, trying to run up the tunnel, hoping that maybe if he doesn't see it, it's not happening. and it's just painting the whole fucking raid, dude. Like, it, in hindsight, was it a critical amount of damage? It was kind of a lot, but a lot of the melee played around it by rotating to this side, and we had some people skirting on the far flanks. But yeah, it was a lot of damage, actually. Like, the whole raid could have melted if these guys weren't really heads up. So that's the kind of shit that we're hoping to avoid with Acid Geyser. We're hoping to get that clue. We're hoping to know that it's Acid Geyser because the Parasite has gone out, and our Foji packs tell us. And then we have the entire raid compress on the ass of the ad, and whoever gets it just runs out to the side. And if whoever gets it DCs, or they're asleep at the wheel, or they're actually just that fucking stupid, it's very easy when we're all stacked for literally the 24 other competent raiders to play around this one idiot. Okay, like, so that's why we all stack up for Acid Geyser.
Volunteers tribute.
Yeah. That is Acid Geyser. And then I wanted to show just a few more trash mobs in SSC that we'll see. So these are the other two mobs. Some say that these are the hardest mobs in here. Maybe pre-nerf they were when they had more health or something. But these witches, these Fathom witches, do an AoE knockaway that's like 30 yards. And they do a mind control on the primary target. Or a mind control that can hit the primary target as an eligible target. So this pack we come to right away when we clear up after Lurker, and the AoE knock away is designed to fuck you over here. It's specifically here on this precipice to knock your raid unknowingly into the water. So fuck you, game designers. But the way that we play around this is with this pack, we hard engage. We run up and in. We just run up and into this tunnel, and we fight it up there. Post nerf, these things die pretty fucking quick. It was a lot less lethal than I was thinking it was going to be. All shamans across the raid should just pop Grounding Totem for these pulls. You know, drop your Wind Fury and then drop a Grounding. These Fathom Witches will not be alive longer than like 15 seconds or so when we have like the whole raid engaging on them with high damage. So, you know, it's fine if Wind Fury falls off for just a little bit at the tail end while we keep the fucking Grounding Totems down. But you just pump these down, you kill them real quick, no problem with the Fathom Witches. The Serpent Guards are ads we've already seen. They're the ads with the charged Reflect Shield, no problem. So I just wanted to call out the Fathom Witches. That first pack, we run directly at them. The Fathom Witches we see later are kind of in hallways where it's not really a problem. You just have to make sure you focus them and you drop Grounding Totems. So I just wanted to talk about Fathom Witches there. The other mob type that I wanted to explain that we're going to encounter here is the Fathom Lurker, a Serpentine Lurker. It's a Shambler mob. It's this one marked skull. It drops... and by the way, you'll see like we have familiar mob types here. We have Tidecallers that are going to drop totems. We have the Skulkers, which are the rogue mobs that have the Feral's tank. And then we have a Nether Mage that we're going to try to poly. I have the raid focus the Lurker. The Lurker just keeps dropping mushrooms that get larger, and when they get to like full size, they blow up and leave a poison patch on the ground, and they do a lot of damage to anyone who's immediately next to them when they blow up. It's not really a high risk thing, but you still kill them just so you don't have to. Like you still kill the Lurker first, just so that you don't have to deal with a messy floor. So we're focusing the Lurker. We see that the Nether Mage broke, but the Mage is staying on top of it, just spamming poly. I pick up, I broke it, I'm retarded. It was actually under control. I just assumed that everyone else was more retarded than me, and so I broke it, and so I ended up being the retarded person. But notice that when this came up, guess what? It was fucking arcane, wasn't it? Like, it just comes out, boom, whole raid gets blasted. Again, just giga damage on the whole fucking raid. From the Nether Mage. It's an arcane one, so it's super fucking annoying. There's the rancid mushrooms that spawn. He dropped a few of them before he died. No problem. We just move away from them. It's that easy. We just handle them first so that like we don't have to deal with that amongst everything else. So also the Tidecallers like to sync up when they drop their totems. I think it's because they kind of like drop them on the same kind of internal cooldowns, and they're generally not CC'd when their cooldowns are up, so they just kind of drop them in concert. I think we might see that here, or maybe we saw it on the pull. These are going to die. Maybe we saw it on the pull. see. All right, there's 1 totem and 2 totems. So this was actually, I would say, a considerable stagger. A lot of these packs are in this room, and I was used to seeing them drop like multiples right away. So I just wanted to talk about the lurker there. The next mob type that I want to talk about is the shield bearer, which we actually have in this pack. It's the diamond. It's running in at the back. It's a paladin mob, but which is usually pretty inconsequential. But this guy's really fucking annoying because he does a charge that it has the potential to one-shot people. Like, it does a lot of damage, and you can dead zone it. So it's just like the brutes in Gruul, except the brutes in Gruul, the risk was they charge to you and then they drop threat and they might cleave. This one, if they charge to you, you've already, like, it's too late because the charge itself is what does the damage, and you might just get one-tapped. So for that reason, it's like actually worse than the fucking brutes in Gruul's Lair. Here's an example. So here's one trash pack that we have to kill. It's always the same. It's always 3 shield bearers and then a mage and a tide caller. This pack patrols and peeks the corner right here, and we kill it before we do Leothrius. And it's triple shield bearer always. So here's us pulling this pack, and I'm trying to tell this raid to stack, but of course they're not going to. And we're going to see just like some of the damage that comes out as a result of people being, not tightly stacked with shield bearers. So this guy, did he take damage? Yeah, that guy actually took damage from an Avenger shield. That was not a charge. That guy literally got Avenger shielded by one of them. So we're trying to pull them back. Oh, look, he got double charged. So he almost died. He did die. That guy did a follow-up melee, I think, right after the fact. So he just fucking died. He was a shaman wearing like full bis and a shield with raid buffs. Raid buffs. So like he had high armor and with a shield on, and he got gibbed by the fucking shield bears. That's what happens. These are a lot of us taking damage from the Nether Mage. Again, I think it's an arcane Nether Mage. Unlucky. But yeah, shield bearers. So look, that guy's dead. This guy gets out. Maybe he gets charged. I forget. I think he might. He's a hunter. Yep, there we go. He got charged. Oh, he's dead. Yep. That's all it is. Just shield bearers. Just stay the fuck in, please. That's all. Or don't. I don't give a fuck. So the Foji pack shows a range indicator for this. When I was watching Forrest's stream, I don't have the VOD link handy or whatever, but he actually had a range check thing, and it would both show the icon when you were in range, but it would also mount, I think, the range indicator on the particular shield bearer's head that you were like in range of or some shit. It was pretty cool. Some of those clever range tracking weakors, I remember now for why I didn't want to show the range finder thing on Conflag, because it's not super perfect. When things get a little bit disorganized and the mob moves a lot, or like different abilities get cast, I saw it get out of sync even in your VOD, where it should have shown and it wasn't. Like, it got itself confused. So we shouldn't rely on these types of tools, but they are really nice to have. So that's all I wanted to show about all trash and SSC. Like, we're done with trash and SSC. The last 3 things are just the last 3 boss fights. So this one is Leothrius. So we're here. So Leothrius is a 2-phase fight. He's a humanoid, and he periodically whirlwinds. And when he whirlwinds, he has no threat. He just like fixates on a player and starts spinning towards them, and then he changes his target after like 4 seconds or so to a different target, and he starts spinning towards them, and he's whirlwinding all the way, and it does some damage, and it puts a bleed on us. And it can be taxing. What you want to do is tank him, like I'll show you in the actual kill, but maybe I can actually show in this trash. You want to tank him like right here, like where my cursor's. So it's basically like the midpoint of this nice tapered edge. It's the midpoint of it is kind of where you want him planted, and then you want your whole raid to use this uncomfortably uneven looking pad up here, all of it, to spread out around. You don't want anyone to be down the side of this tapered ramp. You don't want anyone to be ideally like caught up in, there's like a tent over here and other random fucking bits of terrain like this. You just want to use the area up here, but keep the boss centered, like pretty much right here. That's what you want to do. What I wanted to show was a Leothrius. This was a pull that seemed pretty promising. And you can just see how it goes off the rails. Like, we're stable, and then we're not. And it's because no one is spreading or positioning this properly. I am not the tank with threat on this. I'm trying to get threat. I don't manage it. This druid takes the threat, and he keeps it here. We're off center. We're forcing congestion. The ranged are not spread well, and he's about to whirlwind. So I get the threat. I try desperately to drag it back to that spot. So I didn't get there. He starts spinning, so he's picking different targets, and he's just spinning around. But look at how congested we are and how much damage. Like, look at the raid health, okay? Just watch the raid health. It seems okay until it's not, okay? We're still melting. We are still melting. And now he came out of the spin. Okay, so the whirlwind was over, and now we got to pick him up. So, we have to try to pick him up as tanks. This is why I don't want the prot paladin to be tanking the demon. A, because their threat sucks on the demon, but B, because they need to be helping here. They need to be helping pick up Leothrius coming out of the whirlwind, because that's the riskiest part of the fight, not the demon phase. So I want a prot paladin wearing threat gear that can actually help me pick this shit up. That's what I want in my raid. So he gets loose, but look, I mean, the damage is done. We actually sent fucking Bloodlust there too. So this was the raid melting, even with Bloodlusted healers healing, and they still couldn't keep up with the amount of damage because of how congested we all were. So that was like a generally good pull that just totally went to shit. Notice the raid damage is not over. Look, I have a dot. It looks like rend. Everyone who was touched by the whirlwind has that same dot. So we're all taking that damage. It's a 2,500 damage tick. So everyone's just melting. Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot of fucking damage. I think for this one too, yeah, I keep playing this one out because the raid is pretty much wiped at this point. But I do catch an inner demon here, and I want to just show. So in the demon phase, which is on a timer, we have our warlock pick it up. It really, truly doesn't matter where the warlock is. As long as they're marked and people know where they are, everyone just moves away from the warlock. The fireball has an AoE explosion component of it, okay? You can see the green hue here. That's why you can't have like a melee tank, or you shouldn't have a melee tank it. Paladins can tank it just out of range, such that, they're not blowing up the melee. But that's generally why it's designed to have like a ranged player tank it. It does like this AoE splash. Anyone who gets hit by the spell or the splash takes a stacking debuff that increases damage from this chaos fireball thingy by like 500 or something, and it stacks up. And so that's why warlocks need fire res, because you can resist the applications of this. So we're not really gonna let it clear before the phase ends, but you can resist applications of it, and therefore it all just multiplies and makes you way more survivable. So during the demon phase, he will pick three random players and mark them for and debuff them with Insidious Whisper, which spawns a shadow demon that only you can see and interact with. Only you can damage it, and you have 40 seconds or so to kill it before you get permanently mind controlled for the rest of the fight. I think it's 30 seconds. So I actually get targeted here, which is why I'm going to play this out. So it is tuned, by the way, so that each one should be killable by every spec. Like some of them have less health than others. Even a prot warrior should be able to kill theirs, though it does get close. Healers, you can kill yours as long as you immediately do meaningful damage rotation on it. You can't be like fishing in your spell book to find where the fuck you put like Holy Fire or Shadow Word Pain or something. Like, you got to immediately start doing damage. Healers, you also should pop your on-use healing trinket, like Essence of the Martyr, because it also is on-use damage as well, right? It's 30% of that is going to be damage. So that's when you send your on-use trinket to help overcome this. I've even seen healers actually put a DPS on-use trinket on. So here's the Whisper goes out. 30 seconds. That's the debuff right there. So you have 30 seconds to kill this thing. So I get one. I have actually never gotten one as a bear before, so I start pumping it as a bear, and I wonder what the tuning is like, if it's like bear tuned. It's very clear that it's not, so I just go cat to finish it off. So you can see it does a Shadow Bolt. You can see that did a lot of fucking damage to me. That Shadow Bolt is kickable only by you. No one else can kick that. As a warrior, you can spell reflect it. That's actually how prot warriors are meant to kill it. Is you spell reflect that. You actually die as a prot warrior, or you fail to meet the timer if you kick it. You need to spell reflect it. And yeah, so that's a nasty wipe on a pretty fucking easy fight. And then yeah, I think you can stun them. And then I want to show, this is fun. I want to show a run back. I want to show how absolutely just gutting it is to ever have a lack of wipe protection up, or like the inability to pop up after a kill. It is completely just crushing, dude. So I'm gonna play this. So here it is. We didn't have wipe protection here at all, and none of the shamans could onk. So we're starting a run back, and I'm gonna 2x this, and I'm gonna play some appropriate music.
Benny Hill.
Yep. And we're going. So I have this 2x'd and I still have to skip. So I'm still fast forwarding. We're at 2x and I'm skipping. We're waiting for the elevator, going down the elevator. Coming out. Coming up, waiting for the next elevator. Oh, we take the shortcut. We jump off here. We can take a shortcut, team. Take the shortcut. Keep going. You keep swimming. You go up on this far pipe over here. Come up. Moving along. Back to where we killed the Fathom Witches. Back into Leo's room. And here we are. That's what an SSC runback looks like. It is absolutely awful. And it derails an entire raid night. That's why I really want to be careful that we're prepared, like for this content, because all the runbacks in SSC are just awful. So hopefully we'll be able to have res protection up for all of this, so we don't have to encounter that ever. Kevs, make sure you have cables. Hunters, if you have engineering, make sure you have cables. Just in the off chance that we need it. Kevs always has cables. I don't even need to ask him. But this is just like, our bags are going to be full with a lot of shit prep for the opening raid night. Just make sure you have room for cables, hunters and rogues, because you'll be able to vanish or feign death maybe if necessary. So then we're going to come to the actual kill, which I'm going to play through. So we lost a player. I got Time Cop in, and we had and this is our Warlock who went AFK and never came back. So we did this 24-man without our Affliction Warlock. This is our Affliction Warlock is what I meant to say. So we're at a disadvantage, but it's honestly a very easy fight if you just fucking I would say that the biggest thing is just threat during the transitions. Making sure that you hit escape during the whirlwind ending and the demon popping out, and also making sure melee that you just get the fuck out as the whirlwind is beginning. I want all melee to just be getting out, just completely getting out. And Fora, you're right. That was actually AoEing. That Mind Blast was AoEing. It's not supposed to on post nerf. That was a pre-nerf thing where those ads at the start did an AoE. It's not really a cone. It's more like a target and everyone around them kind of thing.
I think it's 10 or 15 yards, and we can see based on other raids if they fix it in live. But otherwise, we're not going to stack all three, because I think my raid wiped 3 times in phase. It's not even a phase. Nobody talks about that phase.
Yeah. So we'll just be a little bit cautious about that. But yeah, so here we go. We're starting the fight. We center him exactly where I want him. I see the range spread out around. This is perfect. I have range on all sides. Everyone's spread. Healers should ideally also be spread around. This is looking great. We're about to get that first whirl. We're just waiting for it to happen. When the whirl happens, all melee fuck right off. I want all melee to go D-stance, put on shields, integrate into the fucking periphery of the room. Just do not take damage during that whirlwind. That's your goal. Range can keep uptime. So right now I tell melee, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Range can keep pumping as long as you stop your damage so that a big spell doesn't land right now. So as threat resets, we need the range or the melee to pick it up, or the tanks to pick it up. I think Time Cop was a bit of a goblin. I think he does some big damage here, and it gets loose now, and maybe that was later. So we pick it up back to the center. That was really smooth, and we still lost a player. That was the DPS warrior who stayed in. That was the guy, real quick, fun fact, that was the guy who told me that I didn't know how Fairy Fire worked and that I was griefing the raid by putting Fairy Fire Feral up because it was costing him 3% hit. His name was Krangle, everybody. That was the guy. So he died from the Whirlwind. So the Whirlwind timer's up. He's about to... Okay, so that was the Demon transition. So the Demon transition, we need to be very mindful of and make sure that we all just hit escape. So no threat. Let the fucking Warlock tank pick it up. The Warlock, you can see, is down here. We have an MD on him. He's Mark Skull. He is trying to pick it up. He's not terrific. He's pretty slow on the uptake. He's been pretty slow on the uptake on the previous pulls. So we just are kind of waiting it out. This other Warlock has absolutely no fucking chill. Neither does What Are We Doing? A Warlock named What Are We Doing? What are we doing, bro? Like, he's literally just sending Shadow Bolts. We have Time Cop over here. He's underneath the tank. He can also feign death if needed, but now the tank has it, okay? PTR Slave. That's the name of our fucking Chad Warlock tank. We didn't lose anyone from the shuffle. Generally, one fireball, or two is livable, as long as it doesn't just like keep stacking his thing. So we just have the Warlock pick it up. Our transitions, I'm sure, will be way cleaner than that. We're just going to hit escape. Warlock picks it up. Maybe we catch a resist, but we stabilize. Everyone just sits on their hands. This fight is so fucking easy as long as you don't make it hard artificially by like slamming your buttons during fucking threat resets. So here we are, Demon phase. This is when we bloodlust. So we let the guy get threat. He has a good lead. Send lust. We're all pumping the boss now. This is where we get the Giga burn on the boss. Insidious Whispers going out. 3 players are affected. So these 3 players have to handle their inner demons. Maybe it hasn't gone out yet. My timer was up. I don't see anyone fighting their demons. Actually, I want to say this might have bugged. Sorry. This might have bugged because I remember looking around and looking to see if anyone was battling inner demons. And I just couldn't see it. Like, I couldn't see anyone casting spells or taking damage. So I feel like maybe we got lucky. Like, maybe some fucking bug happened or something. But regardless, that is meant to fade. No inner demons, so we handled them. And now we have a timer on the demon phase ending, okay? So we got a big burn here. Human phase is coming. Everyone hits escape, just like stops everything. And here's the boss. We're slamming threat into him, trying to pray for crits. And I'm trying to get him recentered back to the spot. Bears picks him up. I ask him to go where I want him. He goes there. We're stabilized at the center. We're waiting for the next whirl. It's off of cooldown. We don't know when it's going to come. But again, melee, you're just ready to de-stance, put a shield on, get away. The thing that's annoying about the whirlwind is once you clip damage from it, you can't bandage because you have the bleed dot. So you can't even really help the situation. You just have to like not be in melee range. So we're sitting here. We're hoping he's going to whirlwind, and he ultimately doesn't. 15% is when we hit the final phase transition. So here we go. We just... Oh, he starts the whirlwind, but we actually transition him during it. Doesn't matter. 15%, stage 2. A little bit of RP here, and then he and the demon are both going to go active at the same time. They both have threat reset, and the Warlock tank picks up the demon, and all of us forget that it exists. No one should have any attention on the demon at all. It spawns at full health. You are meant to kill the humanoid. The humanoid ends the fight. So we're waiting for them to spawn. We're waiting for the threat to be established. A little bit of RP here to recover. I pop my trinket. I'm like, I don't know when he's going to pop. I hope he's going to come out. I'm going to slam a fucking ability on him. He immediately runs off. So we get him. Okay, big crit. We're stabilized. That Warlock has trouble picking up the ad from a healing priest, but now he gets it. Look at where the Warlock is, okay? The boss is literally casting over our heads onto the Warlock, and it just doesn't fucking matter, because the mechanic is, as long as no one is near the Warlock, it's chill. Like, it's fine. So, no one's near the fucking Warlock. Also, there's no threat about being in melee range of the demon either. Like, it's not like he pulses an AoE or anything. Like, if he was literally standing on top of the humanoid, as long as the Warlock had threat, it doesn't matter. We don't have to separate them or anything. As long as you don't rip threat. So, we're just pumping fucking Leo, and that's it. Like, GG's. The fight is that easy. Like, he's whirlwinding. Again, range can keep ripping into him. I want melee to get off, but we can't help ourselves, can we? He's probably gonna die. Look at the raid health start to tank because we're all greeting so hard. The fight is definitely in the bag though, so we kill Leo. So that's Leothric. It's very easy. You are your own worst enemy. It's just like Hydros in that way. Karathres, I really have nothing but a kill video to show you. It's a really straightforward recipe. This is a kill video from a PTR raid that I did after this. We killed it in that raid too, but in that raid we had the Prot Paladin tanking Tidal Vest, and that's just not something that I want anyone to do. I attended many PTR raids, and Prot Paladins who were tanking Tidal Vest, which is the shaman that has Wind Fury with the two-handed weapon, were fine until they weren't. They were just getting globaled, and it was frustrating because this fight is so stupid easy. There's just no reason to risk anything by having a Prot Paladin tank Tidal Vest. There's just no fucking reason for it. So we're not going to do that. So for our kill, all kills always take Charybdis out to the side. So Charybdis goes out to the side. We tank her over here behind this pillar. The ideal state is that she's out of range of healing, but usually you just send a fucking Resto Shaman over there anyway, just to be able to kick, just in case she's not out of range of healing. So that's generally the recipe. You have an off tank over there, like your third off tank. In this case, it would be Bumjik, or whatever that Flex Druid is off tanking Charybdis over here with a Resto Shaman over there healing and kicking. There are mechanics. Resto Shaman, don't be in melee range with the Druid. She does an AoE stun all around her, like a frost stun. Don't ever get caught by that. She does a water tornado that slowly wanders around, but it spawns at a player's location. So sometimes it can't be helped. You get caught by it. When you get CC'd by that, you're like taken out of commission for a while. It's like 10 seconds. You just keep getting floated up and down. It's really annoying and can be problematic. That's all you need to know about when you're the healer that's assigned over there. So the way we do everything else is we have the Feral Druid tank Fathom Lord Tidal Vests. And we have the Prot Paladin tank Karathres himself, and Sharkus, which is the hunter, and Sharkus's hunter pet, which can either be a lurker or a spore bat. So the way that, and this kill here is how we're going to do it. So we have the MD go out on the square, and that goes off to the far right. I'm picking up Skull. Prot Paladin's going to pick up everything else, and we're going to stack everything else. We're not going to bring Karathres out or anything. We do pull them back just to try to get some added distance on Charybdis. We do pull them back to this pillar, and also so that we can use this terrain. This terrain was brought up in the PTR as something people remembered jumping on so they could avoid the tornado, which Charybdis's tornado is not just a mechanic for the healer over there. It floats over here. It can spawn over here too, and it floats over here. And it can be really disruptive to this clumped raid group. So we confirmed that this works. You'll see no one else did it, but this Shadow Priest did. But on this very pull, he is going to have the water tornado spawn right on top of him, and he is completely untargetable by it because he's standing on this thing. He's technically not on the ground, and he can continue to cast all of his spells and everything. So we definitely will have 100% of our range DPS and healers that are over here jump on top of that flagpole. So we pull this back. I'm on the skull. We are just full sending into the skull. And we're letting the Prot Paladin pick up everything else. Of course, this guy isn't. There's no chill. These people are cleaving. The Lurker comes out a short time after the pull. The Lurker or the Spore Bat. So it just came out. There's a fucking... Our warrior got thread on it. He's in group 1. There's no chill. This top DPS warrior, Wang... He's actually got threat on the literal bosses himself. He's an absolute fucking retard. So he dies. And now things are finally stabilizing onto the fucking onto the Prot Paladin. Look at that. Everything's on the Prot Paladin. I have Tidal Vest. Why can't we have nice things? Why couldn't it have just been a chill pull? I don't know. So we're focusing on Tidal Vest, and then we are prioritizing the Spitfire Totem. So Tidal Vest is a shaman. He has Wind Fury imbued on his weapon. He doesn't drop Wind Fury Totem. And he drops some other random totems that are annoying. But the main one that's a problem is Spitfire Totem. It just does a fireball volley. It just spams it out. So you just kill it. Like it's a raid damage thing. You just have to kill Spitfire Totem. That's why there is a raid warning for it. The other totem is an Earthbind and a Poison Cleansing Totem. So just to kill the Poison Cleansing Totem, you can probably just ignore the Earthbind Totem. Doesn't really matter. So I think shortly after this, right here, I think we're going to see the water tornado spawn literally on the Shadow Priest, who is going to be immune to it. So Earthbind spawns. We're on the Lurker. We're on Tidal Vest finishing him off. The Lurker keeps getting loose. Poison Cleanse Totem. Yeah, we're about to see the water tornado. So Tidal Vest is about to die. There's the water tornado. So see, it spawns like right on top of this guy, and he's just completely immune. What happens if you're hit by it is you get flung up in the air, like you get CC'd. It's annoying. So he's just completely immune. And now that water tornado is coming into us, it's actually a problem. And if the whole raid was just standing there, no issue. So the reason people are taking damage, by the way, is just they're ripping threat, but also Fathom Lord Karathras, by stacking him in, the Boomer strat will have you take Karathras separately, like away, like kind of tank him where he engages. He does a Searing Nova, which does some damage, and it's just like, it's not critical. It's healable. This is just an easier way to handle it. He also does a single cast, like, what is it? Chaos Bolt that also like nukes the mana of the target. So that's kind of a grief. But yeah, I mean, we're really just chilling here. One pet died. He spawned another one. I think that's why you generally don't prio the pets. You just off tank them. Spitfire Totem spawns. I get knocked away. That's what the Spore Bat does. It does a knock away. It's really fucking annoying. So yeah, now we're going to kill Sharkus, and then we're going to all swap over to Charybdis. So we kill Sharkus, and every time an ad dies, he gains one ability from them. Sharkus was the hunter. Sharkus just died. So now he gets the ability to do Bestial, or the Beast Within. When Tidal Vest the Shaman died, he gained the ability to do Spitfire Totem. So when the whole raid peels off to go to Charybdis, you do have to keep enough DPS on Karathras over here to handle Spitfire Totems. You can't let them stay up. So you have to keep like 3 or 4 DPS over here just to be able to handle the spawns of the Spitfire Totem. I innervated a guy. I'm heading over to Charybdis, and then I'm realizing that we don't have enough damage on the Spitfire Totem. Raid is a little bit precarious. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to come back. So I start to head back over to help in whatever capacity I can with the Spitfire Totems, making my way over to Karathras. Charybdis is getting low. You can't see her. She's low health. She's about to die in short order. The whole raid over there is just dealing with the tornadoes and her AoE ice block around her ability. So healers and ranged DPS just shouldn't be near her. Here's a Spitfire Totem. We're just killing it. So we're just waiting for Charybdis to die. We also, it is important to note that whatever DPS comes over here, and also on the pull, we should not be doing any meaningful damage or deliberate damage into Karathras. If you get Karathras to 75% before all of his ads are dead, he hard enrages. Speed kills deal with this enrage and just pray for like dodges and shit on his attacks. That's how you speed kill it. You just like murder him and you deal with it. But it is meant to be like an encounter ending enrage, like a very lethal enrage. So as we are doing this non-speed strat for the opening weeks, when we have Karathras in the mix, we don't want to be putting damage onto him. We do not want to be applying debuffs to him and dots. Don't refrain from hitting Whirlwind and Multi-Shot, but it is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be prioing Tidal Vest and Sharkus on the pull. Yes, cleaving them down, but just making sure that we are not getting Karathras to 75%. At this point, I'm like looking at the health of Charybdis. I'm trying to figure out, like, are we at risk? Like, are we maybe going to push this guy? The boss is at 81% and Charybdis is at 42%. I think I actually call the raid to stop damage on Karathras. Like he is just way too close to the transition. That we might push him before Karathras or Charybdis dies. So that's all we're doing here. We're just making sure that stays on track. We do end up getting her down. She's also doing this water bolt volley. That's why we pull her out. She's like really fucking annoying with that shit. So that's the bigger reason we pull her out. Now she dies. There's a Spitfire Totem. Okay, so he got her ability, which is the AoE Frost Tomb around her. So it's tank and spank at this point. It's a lock. It doesn't matter. It's fucking easy. Usually we save Lust for this. We just pump him. But honestly, like, depending on how good we are with threat, I'm way more like comfortable and wanting to pop lust on the phase that I feel like is the highest risk of wiping, right? Like not the phase where we can have the most uptime. I would much rather, as long as threat is sufficient, I would much rather honestly pop lust on the pull. And that's going to be my instruction on raid night, on opening night. So we just like get through the hard part of the fight, which is the ads and the chaos that comes from them. So that's going to be our tech. Once you get into this part of the fight, it is just tank and spank. The only reason you save less for this is because it's like, uptime. So anyway, that's Karathras. Karathras is actually very easy. You just need to make sure that you have the tactics down. And I would say the big pivot that was my call out is not having a paladin tank title vest. Just in the current gear we have, unless you go full mitt, you just die. And we actually had our paladin and some of the other pulls in the other raid wear like an actual mitt set, and he still died. Like he still got globaled. I don't think he was using iron shields though. That guy was also retarded. Actually, a different retarded prop paladin from the Hydros retarded prop paladin. Every prop paladin I came across on the PTR, except for one, was like, I swear it was either prop paladins are just that stupid naturally as people, or it's like a bunch of people just playing prop paladin for the very first time. But like the fact that they had gear sets that looked like actual gear sets that prop paladins would wear made me think that it was actually just, they were just collectively that stupid. It was surprising. None of ours are, of course. Ours are amazing. So now we have Tidewalker. Tidewalker is the last thing I'm going to go over as far as like meaty fights. There are a few comments I want to make about Vash, but on Tidewalker, I wanted to just make a few comments. The first is that Tidewalker is the tank buster of SSC. This is me wearing my full boomer mitt set. I like my gear set literally is the icon of a shield. I have Iron Shield running. I think I'm actually armor capped at 75% like mitigation here. And this is me getting just completely gigged by this guy.
Are those crushing hits?
So what that was this. 2 crushings. So we have, this is the sequence. So there was an earthquake that went out, and then there was 1 crushing right off the bat. But when a bear takes a crushing, this is kind of like the thing about bears. It's not usually like a crisis. That's a 5,500 crushing. The next crushing is also 5,600. This is like actually not a whole lot of damage when all things considered. Like, a lot of bosses are doing more damage than this, even with their normal hits. But the thing about Tidewalker that was always really frustrating is that, hold on. So the thing about Tidewalker that's really frustrating is that he thrashes. This was always a fucking annoyance back then. So you just don't know when it's going to happen. So here it is right here at 43.1 and at 43.17, 43.14, 43.17, he thrashes me twice. So 1 crushing, 1 non-crushing. Also, about 0.7 seconds before that, he hit the earthquake. He also was sending, like, his normal attack swing is like, 1.6 seconds or so. So it's like 1.5. So he was like hitting me, pretty quick as well. So the thrash is just really annoying. So in this sequence, he earthquaked, hit a thrash. One of them was a crushing blow. And then he meleeed me, and he thrashed again and hit another crushing blow just like 3 seconds later. I want to double check something. Did I actually hit Enrage? Am I retarded? No? Okay. Yeah, so I had actual armor cap for this. I'm actually like, why did it not show that I was armor? I guess it just reports weirdly if it's a crushing blow, or maybe crushing blow circumvents some armor or something. Or maybe that was inspiration. I don't know. This is probably the difference of an inspiration Brock. I think this is what my normal mitigation is.
Ancestral Fortitude.
Yeah, so it's normally 73.82, and with Ancestral Fortitude, I get to 75%. Crushings just report weirdly in Warcraft logs. That's what that is. So this is my normal mitigation with the armor that I had on and the gear set I had on with an Iron Shield. I had 73.82%. damage mitigation. So you can see these are not big numbers, but it's just the speed at which they come in. It's just a lot. I mean, also, I didn't mention, I mean, I took magic damage during this. I took Tidal Wave, which is a tank mechanic. So it's a frontal cone. It puts a debuff on the tank, reducing attack speed by like 50% or something. And it's pretty much just up like full time almost. Like, I mean, that shit is like, it suppresses the threat ceiling. It makes threat a problem while your tanks are wearing full mid. So that's the thing about Tidewalker. He's like the tank buster. You just got to make sure that you respect that, both with gear and with healing. Now, with that aside, I was expecting a lot of trouble with Tidewalker, and I found him to be one of the easiest fights in SSC. So here's the kill, which was literally the next pull. We just two-shot him, and it was not an issue. So I'm just going to play it through and talk over it. So we have... One thing to call out is the Watery Graves go out. He picks 3 targets, I think 3 or maybe 4, and he sends them off into the center of the room and encapsulates them in Watery Orb. And then when it expires, they take damage and they fall. And so we can see that here. So we have, and is my microphone echoing at all? Due to some speakers nearby. Okay, cool. So let me replay that one more time. So the Watery Grave is going out. See, he's picked these 4 people. They've gone out. You have a healer that's assigned to Watery Grave duty. So they're over there. They're stunned, and now they detonated. They took the damage of Watery Grave, which is about 5.6k. And then they took a minor amount of fall damage as they fell. So the fall damage happened right there. It was like a sliver. It was like, I don't know, a couple hundred damage or something. So that's Watery Grave. Very trivial to handle in post-nerf. And so those players are running in. And now we're about to get the Murlocs. This was the critical mechanic of Tidewalker. And the reason why it was so hard was these Murlocs. So Murloc cooldown is up. It's Earthquake. That's what the ability is called. He like stomps the ground. It plays an emote. So we all take raid damage, and then he's going to spawn 2 waves of Murlocs running in simultaneously from the edges of the room. So there was another Watery Grave. These 4 players got sent. And now I think he's about to do the stomp here. So those players took the damage from the Watery Grave. They need to be like, so this is a call out for healers. The Watery Grave top off, when the stomp is available, which it has been for a long time, when it's available, these players are at high risk when they're running in at this low health. They need to be like not topped, but you have to like, at least get a solid heal on them that's not a heal over time before they get into stomp range. Stomp has a range, actually. It won't hit people who are out in the middle of the room, but it will hit everyone else that's in this general area. So you just have to be careful about that. You got to make sure that those players are topped, because if the quake happens, the stomp happens, those players can die. I think I had a clip of that happening too. I remember now why this was very easy, is because he held on to his fucking Quake cooldown for an extended period of time, just like KT can hold on to mind controls for an extended period of time. It's the same way. He's just sitting on it. So now here we go. Murloc's incoming. That's what our raid warning is going to say. He also plays an emote where he like stomps the ground. He says some shit, and the whole raid takes damage. And now Murlocs are spawning. So there's going to be a wave coming at this door. And that's us in the mini-map. We're right here next to this door. And then another wave coming on the far door. So the challenge was always the stagger. The fact that 6 are coming up here and 6 are in the bottom. And the Murlocs hit really hard. And they had like a Pierce Armor debuff. And they just absolutely fucking slayed the tanks. These Murlocs have like 20k health or something. It's very low. They basically just fall over. So... this Paladin, Skull is our prop Paladin. He goes and he picks up the first wave. So he has them coming in. And now at the same time, the other Murlocs are on the way. They're just out of stage left here. They're coming in. And we see them. They're behind my raid frames. I saw the movement though. They're on the way. They're about to come. Here they come. So we can see this Paladin had reasonable threat on these ones. These Murlocs coming in are completely fresh. They do not have any threat on this Paladin. There are ways to try to coordinate this and try to make it clean and orderly. One way is have nobody heal, but have the prop paladin heal a warlock who life taps. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think it's enough threat. It's split evenly amongst all murlocs. It only works in a vacuum where no one else is hitting any abilities. It's just, and the paladin loses a lot of fucking mana. I think after seeing the health of the murlocs and how quick they die, it's much easier to do what we did here, which is honestly just kind of like freestyle it. Like, these are fully rootable, fully CCable. Essentially what we ended up putting in place in I don't know if we did it in this pool. Yeah, in this pool. Is we had the prop paladin just focus on the first wave, and then we like Frost Nova the next wave that came in. And we just, like basically AoE'd them with snares, and they could never get to anyone before they died. Like, as long as there was a frost trap on the ground or an imp blizzard slow, they just couldn't get to range DPS in time before they died. That mage was standing right next to them. A mage just died. He was literally standing right next to them, arcane explosioning like an absolute fucking retard, because look, he's number 2 on the meters, guys. So we can see the ads turn for a second on some of the melee too. They turn to Degausser, who is this warrior. They turned to another warrior. They're doing some melees. It's not critical. Like, they're not like one-tapping people. So like if it gets a little bit, like you have threat on 1 or something, it's not a huge problem. And I think it's easier just to, try to wing it with, just basically the prop paladin picks up the first wave here, and we just send into it like as soon as we can. Like the range DPS, just like, we have a frost trap up here assigned, and we just kind of send into it. Maybe one mage just keeps a blizzard down, and we just nuke them, just like you're like AoE farming a dungeon, like boost strat. And then we handle those, and then the second wave comes in, we just repeat it. We just do a 1-2 kind of thing deliberately. And we just have, our mages are really like the stars, like they're putting the blizzard up over here, and then when these ads are coming in, if we have 2 mages, both of them try to send their frost novas, because inevitably some will resist or miss. And we just like keep them on lock until the prop paladin makes his way over there. We put, a second hunter trap here as well, and we just handle them as a 1-2 punch kind of deal. I think it's just like way cleaner to just do that and not have micro assignments. And, like a prop paladin has to drop a consecrate at T-6 seconds over here, and then be mobile, and then drop a consecrate over here, and then the third one's in the middle, and on the second wave they'd sapper. Like all these types of mechanical minutia, like I think it's not necessary. These ads die pretty quick. One thing that you might have seen, which is absolutely a cheat code here, is Masterwork target dummies, man. Like, absolutely, because these are tauntable. There were some people, they were throwing Masterwork target dummies. I think one guy throws one down here at the end. Maybe it's a bit too late. I think some of these we might see target a Masterwork target dummy. Yeah, there was one that was dropped. Masterwork target dummies, holy shit. Like, honestly, if we just had our engineers carry Masterwork target dummies, I don't even think we need to talk about this any further. I don't expect trouble with ads, okay? Like, just, we'll have an assigned, I think, trap on each of these sides. We'll handle them in a 1-2 punch. This pack first, then this pack. And the mages just Nova this one if we don't get there in time. That's all. We don't need to overthink it. It was way easier than I thought it was. Than I thought it was going to be. And Masterwork target dummies saved the day. That's the critical mechanic of this fight. It was the Murlocs. And like, I had all these grand plans about how we would handle it, and we just didn't need to. Here's another wave. He did it right away. So this paladin drops a fucking consecrate. Those mobs run through. They hit maybe a tick or two. He's completely lost 3 of them. He gets those back. He's tanking them. He's taking no damage. Looking at the damage that these other people are taking to see if it's anything lethal. This warlock is literally getting meleeed right now. Casino is getting meleeed. You can see his health bar. It's fine. Like, it just doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's not a problem at all. So anyway, that's the key of the fight there. That's the core mechanic of what was once the hardest like fight in here outside of Ash. Now at 20%, I believe, is phase 2, where he no longer sends people to watery graves. The watery graves come to us. So we're going to see the movement here. But when we get ready for that phase transition, we just pull him into the near corner here. So you're about to see that movement. I'm going to start this up here. I'm waiting for these Murlocs to get handled, and then I'm going to move him. So this is the last wave of Murlocs. Just let's watch it play out. Let's watch another set of Murlocs come through. They're on the prop paladin. This melee warrior has it. This other warrior has it. Casino again has threat on one. This warlock looked like he caught some hits. That guy fucking died. He's an absolute fucking retard. But yeah, I mean they're handled. So now I'm getting into position. I think 25% might be the actual phase transition. So I'm getting him into the tank position. This is phase 2. There's only 2 phases. This is phase 2. I almost died here. So phase 2 is we get him into this position. We have all healers stack in along this wall on the left. We have all ranged DPS hug the wall on the left, and we have melee get to the left foot. Everyone is just left along the wall because you want to max range the watery globules, which are wandering slowly towards a random raid member. Here it is. It's 20%. It looks like summon watery globule. So now they're on the way, and they're heading towards some players, but we're going to outrange them. They're going to vanish before they get to us. This is a strat as old as time. It's a cheat code, but it's something that everyone's going to do, us included. So we're going to see some of those watery globules come in from stage right here in a moment. They're going to float in. One of them, I think, gets a little close, and then it vanishes. Maybe that was a previous pull that I did. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's coming in. That's what it looks like. And it vanished. Yep. That's it. I think Murlocs still come in during this phase. I can't remember. But either way, you save Lust for this. And you just burn him so that you just don't have to deal with any sort of clusterfuck Murloc situation. But yeah, that's Tidewalker, what once was one of the hardest fights in here. The last thing I wanted to touch on, you guys did kill Vash. There are 2 things that I wanted to go over with Vash. One of them is phase 2 positions, and one of them is the Lion King, what I like to call the Lion King phase 1 position. So what you guys did in phase 1 was right as she was about to hit 70% and slither to the middle, you rubber banded her away from the center as far as you could so that she had an extra amount of travel time, to get to the center, which allowed us more damage uptime. That's all. It just allowed us to chip away at her health just that much more. Pulling it down over the edge of the stairs to do that, right before the phase transitions, to me is a little sloppy and kind of risky because you're going to be pulling things over the LOS cusp of healers. You might get a static charge. There's a better way to do this. There's just simply a better way to do this that I did in all the raids that I did of this last TBC. Granted, it was pre-nerf, so every bit mattered, but we should still do the same thing. So this is the Lion King positioning, okay? We're phase 1. We're already pre-positioning her, okay? So we're dragging her. I get static charge. I'm running out to the side over here. And this is the general setup scheme, okay? So right here, let me see if I can... right here is Pride Rock, okay? We're going to drag her up to the fucking tippy tip of this rock. The ranged encampment is going to be right where it is right now. This is ranged and healers. They stay in the totem forest. Melee is going to be up on Pride Rock with the fucking boss right behind it. And if we get static charge, we have this whole area to come out to and be healed. So I get static charge. I'm just out in no man's land. You do have, as a healer, you have to be there. There's an edge here, right? This is what is it, a 12-sided figure or whatever? There's an edge, and you can get slightly out of LOS sometimes. So as a healer, you want to be on that edge to make sure that you're not going to be out of LOS of anyone who's down here. So that's one call out with this position. So this is the Lion King strat. So we're dragging her. She's just being a total fucking bitch. She puts out a static charge on a melee player. That player's also coming out over here. We're just slowly dragging her. She can shock blast during this movement. It gets really annoying. So the shaman in the tank group should just try their best to place a preemptive grounding totem. Pretty much right where the druid is right now is a perfect spot for a grounding totem. You're going to be in range pretty much as we come down over the edge and as we move through the motion. So pulling her around, Cooter, I know you saw that when she does the AoE root, she runs off. So as a druid, as long as we're not on GCD, we should immediately try to power shift that to prevent this. So he was slow to that. He shapeshifted, got back up. So we're dragging her to the final position here. The main tank, this is a good visibility here. The main tank themselves got static charge here. Wild Shrimp is the druid tank. So melee just have to kind of back off. We did ultimately find that we could max range it and not take damage. Some of us, like I think there's a rogue here and a warrior. We did find a sweet spot. I was just mainly watching, seeing where everything was. Just, raid leader things. The druid is up here at the top of Pride Rock. Not the actual... There's a piece of geometry here too. There's a fucking... the glands of Pride Rock right here. We're not going past that, okay? We're just staying right here. And so... This is the druid where he's taking it. He's rooted. He needs to shapeshift out of this, get back on the boss, pull it to the spot. This mage just got static charge, ran out to the right. Okay, that's where you go. It's off of my camera to the right. Static charge on melee, he just drops down and goes out to the same area over there. You're just staying away from people. And this positioning will allow us to get the most amount of uptime on the boss during this transition that's about to happen. So we're about to hit the 70% transition, and this is where all healers just rip DPS, rogues put your finishing moves up, like druids send your fucking ferocious bites. We just pump into this. Pre-nerf, we literally held trinkets for this. Post-nerf, we don't have to min-max to that degree. But this is just a little bit of extra oomph. Ranged also, if you could have kept range by staying somewhat near the top of these stairs, you would have got even more uptime, because you could hit her while she's on top of Pride Rock and also hit her with a final ability right here. Any abilities that connect that are in flight when she puts the shield on don't count. So it's all instant damage that matters. And so that's just how you get the most amount of burn. This is not something that was unique to my raids. A lot of people did this, especially pre-nerf. And I think it's a really, really minor adaptation to what we're doing. And also, I think it's just generally cleaner, even though it looked kind of like a cluster. It is cleaner to just pre-position her off the bat. So that's what we're going to do. And then the only other thing I wanted to get into was something that I posted about in the raid chat channel. It was about Vashj Phase 1 positionings and my kind of gripe with the assignment sheet and how it breaks it down. Phase 2 positionings, that is, if I misspoke. But this assignment sheet breaks it into quadrants, which is great. It's a great picture. And it assigns like 4 or 5 DPS to each quadrant in what I feel is like an overly prescriptive, overly rigid setup. So even pre-nerf, I ran a dad guild, guys. Like it was a high-performing dad guild, like that did a lot of good execution, but like they were not like top 100 parsers. Okay, I ran a dad guild, and my dad gamers pre-nerf could handle a side solo, could handle a swath of this map solo. I don't expect any less from any of the players in this fucking guild. And so I want to free up these rigid assignments and only assign a single range DPS and a single healer, essentially, for each of these positions. So specifically, this is the diagram that I cooked up. I don't think we're going to use this diagram. We'll just use it in spirit. What we'll do is we'll just have we'll use this widget and just basically clear out everything like this, right? And we'll just have like a sign. But what we ended up doing was I put a warlock in charge of this one, or I put a hunter in charge of this one, this swath down here, which is the entry side, which maps to this red side. And then I put a warlock in charge of this other segment, which is 3. And then I put a hunter and a warrior over here. And the way that this works is that these players are responsible for every single elemental that comes up their path. Okay, so this warlock has three staircases. This hunter has 3 staircases. This warlock this hunter only had 2. And I always put a melee DPS on 10 and 11 on this side right here. And I want to say it was because I wanted to Like I was balancing how much melee damage I had on elites and how much range I had on striders, and that's why I ultimately decided to put a melee on those sides. But they translate to this right here. The only thing that's different about the way I broke things up is I actually broke these segments up a little bit different, where I put a 2-panel side up here and a 3-panel side here, but it doesn't matter. I did that because the flags then lined up more nicely, but like for a visual anchor, but it's fine. Like right here, there's actually a flag post between 7 and 8, and that was a good like visual anchor for the raiders. So the assignment sheet, just to be clear, is like basically the same kind of segments. It's just that they drew this yellow line between 7 and 8. They drew it between 6 and 7, and that's how they broke up the paths. These are marked, these rubble spots. No elementals ever spawn here. And so the way that this works, and I'm explaining this because this is absolutely what I'm going to do in our raid. The range DPS is in charge of all of the elementals that spawn, tainted or enchanted. And if it tainted, and there is an assigned healer for each of these positions as well. And the assigned healer and the assigned DPS are the 2 players who are responsible for the core mechanics of Phase 2 on the outer edge. So when a tainted spawns, let's say a tainted spawns in this diagram. Actually, I'm just going to go back to this one and just forget about mine. We're going to use this one, okay? So in this case, let's say that we would have like I don't know. I'll just say I'll have like the west zone. We'll put like Time Cop, and let's say that that this is a healer. Why is this copy paste not working? It's fucking jacked. Whatever. Anyway, we'll just say Time Cop, and we'll say Totem Wench. That is so fucking weird. Okay. We'll just say Sirion then, whatever. Sirion. And then this is going to be Lynx dead. Let's say Lynx is on Arresto. Zob is a paladin healer. UV is a healer. Let's just say we have it kind of like this. You'll have to forgive me for I have no idea what the fuck just happened to this spreadsheet. No, I guess you deleted it. Okay, cool. So this is how we're going to do assignments. So basically in this setup, with real names and real people, Time Cop is responsible for the entrance side, and Sirion needs to be on the edge up top. Okay, Time Cop is responsible for the elementals. Sirion is responsible for Time Cop. So Time Cop is blasting. He's keeping it ahead on all these elementals. These elementals are a fucking joke. They have 7k health. They melt. Like you get reps on it as a DPS who is responsible on the outside. You learn the optimal rotation. You learn what spells to cast in what order to like just barely kill them in an efficient way. You get good at it. Okay. It's very easy to keep up with them. So even with our gear. So Time Cop sees a tainted. Okay. He's on top of all of his elementals. A tainted does spawn. It immediately starts doing damage. Okay. It does like a poison that hits like all nearby players on that side. So Time Cop takes a poison. Sirion takes a poison. Time Cop and Sirion are both taking damage. Time Cop kills the tainted elemental. Sirion is healing both of them. And then Time Cop runs down the stairs and loots it. Sirion is in LOS the entire time because he's a good fucking healer and a good player, and he stays in LOS of Time Cop. He knows where the tainted elemental is. He knows Time Cop is going to have to run to it, so he makes sure that Time Cop's movement will not be out of LOS of himself. So Sirion stays up top. He does not go down the stairs. He just stays in LOS of Time Cop and is the first and primary relay for Time Cop to toss the core to. So my cursor is hard to see here, but let's say that the tainted was actually on this top leftmost panel. Okay, if the tainted is on this top leftmost panel, Time Cop has to kill that and then run over here. So Time Cop is right here, right literally where the tainted elemental spawns. And then Sirion can't just be like here and be in LOS of Time Cop and heal him, even if it's possible. Sirion, knowing that there is an actual range limitation on the tainted core toss, he has to move over here to this panel as well. And he has to be on the edge, on the upper edge, so that he's in range of Time Cop's first relay. That is 100% on the healer. It is not on the fucking tainted guy. It is on the healer. We need healers who know this mechanic. So Sirion receives that first relay. At this point, we're just going to relay it over to whatever, lamp it has to be to. And guess what? It doesn't have to be hard assigned who that goes to. You don't have to micro assign all legs of the relay chain. At this point, this assignment scheme has freed up so much of our raid DPS. Like, that's why it is just far superior of a scheme. We only have one player ripped into a physical assignment into these 4 quadrants to handle elementals. Everyone else is given free license to just keep on top of everything. So all the other unassigned range, you're just kind of spread in the middle, and you're staying on top of Striders. You're staying out of the fucking way, out of the physical way of elites that are being tanked and brought to the middle. Usually elites are picked up and they're brought somewhere in the center of the pie, kind of facing Vaush. That's generally the way in which you position it. The elites cleave everybody. You need to know that. It will kill you. So ranged are now free to move about the cabin. They can help on Striders. That is their number one priority. Ranged DPS prioritize Striders, which we will no longer have any trouble keeping up with in this scheme. And then melee, it's the same thing. You are just free to move around, and you are prioritizing the elites. Melee responsibility is the elites. So elites, come slithering up. You got to let a tank pick it up, obviously. Don't rip threat, and, just damage the elites. Stay on top of that. Everyone is just sort of like available. So when we get to the top of the relay, like Sirion gets here, we're chilling. Like, we're pretty much on top of everything. Nothing is a crisis. Whoever's around can help relay it. Like, we know Sirion has it. Like, we have a lot of heads up player. We don't need everyone in our raid to be a fucking heads up player. We have a majority of players who are heads up players. Let those players fucking handle it. I'm in position. Like, Sirion, toss it to me. Like, toss it to me. I'll get it to Kevs. Kevs knows exactly where he's got to go. He knows to click it right away, regardless if Time Cop says wait. We know we can trust Kevs to do the thing right. And so with this scheme, we're just going to have one range DPS assigned to the top edge, and we're going to have one healer assigned to the top edge of all 4 quadrants. And the healer is always the first relay point, and the DPS on that side is the responsible party to loot it and toss it. Again, the healer needs to understand how this mechanic works so that they get into a passable position for the Tainted Core. I really don't want any of you to be that retarded that you actually go down over the steps to get tossed the Tainted Core, and then you can't toss it to anyone else. The range of the toss allows you to go bottom to top. Like, it is designed for that. You are always able to clear the top edge with a Tainted Core toss from the corpse of a Tainted Elemental. So if you can't get there, you fucked up somehow. And then so the rest of it is just priorities. Range DPS are on Striders. Melee DPS are helping with Coilfang elites, the Naga elites that spawn. And then I did mention that all the elementals are very trivial. I mentioned that you guys are better than my dad gamers. I kind of shit talked along the way. But if anything does get through, it's totally fucking fine. Because again, we have everyone else up top that's just available. And priority will always be, no matter whether you're ranged or melee, if any of the enchanted elementals ever get close to her, they breach the inner fucking, circle, just swap and kill that real quick. 7k health again. Just kill it, If any adds get to her, it just gives her a 5% permanent damage buff, and it stacks. It's just not acceptable. You don't want to have that. Anyway, all of this this modification should substantially make Phase 2 a lot easier, and a lot. I don't know. Yeah. It also optimizes uptime. Everyone is just doing a lot more damage. Everyone's doing a lot more damage to things that matter. And also, I think Warriors, what you will find in this scheme, you will have freedom now to move around, DPS the elites, and wander over and get some uptime on the Striders. I think as a result of this, we're going to actually stay on top of our ads a lot better. And Warriors, you can absolutely get really fucking valuable uptime on Striders by popping Berserker Rage and going in for 10-second stints. You just need to make sure that you calm that clearly. Range DPS and healers, you can root Striders. You can root them with Netherweave Nets, which are from Tailors, if you're a Tailor. You can root them with Frost Novas and shit. you can root them with a feral charge, but don't you ever root a fucking Strider if one of the melee or if one of the warriors are calling out that they're going in, because the Striders do have a melee attack, and it will one-shot you. It will absolutely fucking shred you. So you will just kill our fucking warriors that are trying to be proactive and have high uptime if you root them indiscriminately. You just need to make sure, and this is also on the warriors, right? You got to be loud and clear. Like, I'm going in, I'm still in, I'm almost out. All right, I'm out. Like, you know, we have flexibility in the comms to afford that communication every like 30 seconds from a fucking warrior. So anyway, that is everything. That is everything I wanted to go over tonight. I omitted Alar and Solarian and Void Reaver. We generally know that stuff. I do think there's a healthy amount of strategy and warning about Trash and Tempest Keep at the entryway, as well as pre-Kael'thas. But I didn't watch the VOD when you guys went through there, but I did hear that you guys saw a healthy amount of trash mechanics. So I'm going to assume that you probably fucked up that trash in every which way to such that you have learned all of the lethal mechanics of that trash. I'm going to hope that that's the case. Now. Yeah. So I didn't want to go over that. But anyway, thank you all for attending. I know I said I wasn't going to record this. I did stream it. I am going to post the VOD so that it will be available. That was always my intention. I was just lying to you guys. I wanted to make sure you actually attended. I will, I guess, just...
Love you too, Dad.
Yeah. I will. I'm done. I'll stick around and just open the floor for any questions if any of you